Welcome to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Thank you for tuning in this episode of The Real. Taking time out of your day to come watch this episode. I really appreciate that. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe for me. I'd really appreciate that as well. That's the best way you can support this channel and help me grow my content and grow this channel to where I'd like it to be. Everybody hit the like button for me on the way in on this video today. That also helps promote this video more in the algorithms, helps grow this channel more as well. Please share this content. I would really appreciate that. My guests would as well. If you would please share this episode with someone you know that maybe is interested in the topic we're talking about today. Please leave a comment below as well. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback. You can interact with myself and the guest on the panel and the live chat as well. Whatever we're talking about, just leave a comment there in the live chat. Pop in and say hello. We'll put it on the screen for you. And yeah, without further ado, let's get to the show. Welcome back to The Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Hope you guys are having a great night. Welcome into The Real. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, and share. Everybody smash the like button on the way in. And subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. It really means a lot. It would help out a lot. So it's free. Tap at the button. Help us get to 1,000. We'd really appreciate your guys' support. Could use your support. And yeah. So welcome in tonight. Emergency live tonight, I guess you could say. Interesting live tonight. Take a little break from the Browns. I'm kind of excited about that. Not that I love talking about my brownies, but I like a little break, talk about other things I'm interested in. And this one I'm really excited about tonight. I sent the link out to some people. Hope we get some people up here because this one it's gonna be really interesting. So before I get into tonight's show, number one, I'm not a reporter or anything or a certified journalist, but I did put my cap on, and I'm putting on my journalist cap. And I did some investigating today when some of this news broke and kind of read between the tea leaves and kind of paid attention to some things recently. So I'm going to give my take today, what I think based on what I've heard and seen and read and what I think could happen here. So let's get into it. So if you've been living under a rock today, which some people may be living in their basement in my area today because there's been a lot of tornado warnings, but Jeanie Buss has sold the Lakers. That's right. The Los Angeles Lakers and the Jeanie Buss and the Buss family, the legacy of the Buss family. They have finally sold the Los Angeles Lakers. They have sold them to the Dodgers owner. I believe he's the Dodgers owner, Mark Walters. Mark Walter for $10 billion. It says right here. It says Mark Walters' agreement to purchase the Lakers from the Buss family. As it just popped off my screen again, from the Buss family is for a valuation with a V, of $10 billion. So that's a lot of money right there. $10 billion. I don't know why I'm orange. This stuff's getting a little weird. I'm just going to go like this. So I'll figure that out in a minute. So for $10 billion, right? $10 billion the Lakers have sold, right? That's a big deal. That's a big deal in sports. Big deal not only in the NBA, but in sports. I mean, the Lakers are one of the biggest brands in all sports. The Buss family, I mean, they purchased the Lakers for, compared to $10 billion, for not a lot back in 1979, I believe, or late 70s. And today they sold for $10 billion. So, I mean, salute to the Buss family. What a great investment and paid off down the road, and eventually did back down the road in 2025 today. So, now, I think this is significant in a way because obviously the Lakers, I would say for the last 13 years or so, since Jeanie Buss, 10, 13 years since Jeanie Buss has been a little more involved and been in charge, there's been a lot of, people at times accuse the Lakers of not having enough money because Jeanie Buss, the Lakers are rich, the brand, right? But Jeanie Buss is not the richest of, or was not the richest of owners in the NBA. So, there was a lot here. There was a lot throughout those years, a lot of times where, especially since LeBron's been there, where people were, are the Lakers a little too cheap to not be able to maybe go out and afford more players, higher price, right? I mean, there was issues with some of the stuff within the organization, the structures, the training staff, a lot of things, right? You listen to people that cover the Lakers daily out in LA, they've covered it for years. So Jeanie Buss now, she's still a governor within the organization. She still has a role. Now, she doesn't have the power that she had, obviously. She sold her majority stake away. I think it was her and that whole group with the Rambuses and all of them. Now, Jeanie Buss, she's more interested right now, from what I've heard, in the women's wrestling league that they're starting back up out there, out in LA. It's this women's wrestling league out there. I don't know if it's kind of like the Glow one they did. I don't know if it's Glow, they're bringing back Glow. But the women's wrestling league to start up, she's heavily invested into that. Her and her management group and managers, per se, and the Rambuses, they're interested in that. And so that's what they're putting their focus in now. So now here comes Mark Walton. Mark Walton, who is the Dodgers owner, part of the Dodgers ownership group, or is the owner, I believe. He is not afraid to spend, obviously, from what we see from the Dodgers. He has Luka Doncic now. He's walking into a team with Luka Doncic, a young superstar in his prime. And, you know, he's got some, he's in LA. He's got the palm trees, got the sunshine, got the water, got the brand, got Hollywood. He's got a lot he can work with here. I mean, this is pretty dangerous for other teams in the Western Conference. Now, if this was 10 years ago in the old CBA, this would be a lot more powerful because, you know, 10 years ago, you could really just stack teams more, right? Now you can't. So with the new CBA and the tax apron and all that stuff, teams can't really stack the deck like they used to. They can't go out and just buy players like they used to. However, the Lakers having more money available to them and being able to go deeper in the luxury tax and stuff and paying more, overpaying, they can do that now with Mark Walters, and they have Luka Doncic, who's going to attract players around him by his play style. He's in LA. So this is going to be a significant move for the NBA, in my opinion, going forward. The Lakers with more money now will become more dangerous in the future, without a doubt. They got better today as a franchise, without a doubt. And that's the Buss family, they built the legacy of the Lakers. They deserve a lot of credit, praise. Jeanie Buss, I thought, for the fun she had, did a good enough job. She got LeBron James to come there, delivered a championship. You know, she deserves credit. She didn't do a terrible job by any means. So, but, you know, it was time to move on. And I think Jeanie Buss, you know, like you go back to 2022 when they did the Russell Westbrook experiment, you know, and that didn't work out. Jeanie Buss had to pay $8 million of her own money to, you know, get out of that Russell Westbrook contract. The Lakers had to pay half of his contract, $8 million of her own money. That's a lot of money for her. So I think it was right around that time, or after that happened, you started to see some rumors slowly getting put out there that, hey, maybe one day down the road, the Lakers could be for sale. It was floated out there. Now, when that was going to happen, to who, obviously nobody knew. It wasn't really reported. There wasn't anything out there. But there was a rumor that they could be up for the sale down the road, right? This was 3 years ago. Right after all that happened, there were slow rumors. It really heated up in the last year or two. So, obviously, it was true. Well, there was smoke, there was fire. It came to fruition. And here comes Mark Walton to buy the Lakers. Now, so that's that side of it, right? With the Lakers sale today, right? And Jeanie Buss, and I think why they sold the Lakers, obviously, like I said, she's probably more interested in that women's wrestling league right now, and time to move on. Obviously, $10 billion, could walk away from that. Your father bought the team for way, way less back in the late 70s. So it was a great day for the Buss family. Now she, like I said, she's still a face in the organization. She's still technically a governor, but her power is not there anymore because she sold her power to Mark Walton. So Mark Walton's and his group now, this new group coming in, they got a plan and they're in charge now. Now, what does this mean for LeBron James? This is where things are going to get really interesting. And I listened to some Lakers blogs today, Lakers sites tonight, when this news broke, and a lot of people still are assuming LeBron is going to stick around now, right? LeBron's sticking around. The Lakers got more money. They got Luka Doncic. You know, that this is actually going to make the Lakers better. Now, it could. I mean, if I'm LeBron, okay, I could opt in the $53 million. I got Luka Doncic, and I got an owner now who I think will be able to spend more money, or is willing going to be willing to spend more money next year to facilitate a better team around Luka and I. That could be very well the case. But here's where I'd say pause on all this. And some people I heard today, and some people I trust that I reached out to today, I'm just going to tell you this right now. Jeanie Buss, right? LeBron's power within the Lakers was through Jeanie Buss, right? That was his leverage. I can go to Jeanie Buss. Jeanie Buss never wanted to tell LeBron no because she never wanted LeBron to leave. She wanted LeBron because LeBron saved the franchise for her. She viewed LeBron, and she said this on the All Smoke podcast, basically, when she gave her top 5 Lakers of all time, she listed LeBron because LeBron did a lot for Jeanie Buss, increased a hell of a lot more revenue and money for her, saved her franchise. When Kobe Bryant had retired, they were kind of dormant for a couple of years. They had a young team, but they weren't in that championship contender mode. They weren't at the level the Lakers are accustomed to being at. LeBron saved the Lakers franchise by going there and helped them and boosted them, not just on the court, but off the court as well, with marketability, got their marketing back to where the Lakers are supposed to be, the money, everything, right? So she is indebted to LeBron James. She never wanted LeBron James to leave. She wanted LeBron James to always retire a Laker, to stay as long as he wanted to stay. Wanted him to pass Kareem as a Laker. She made sure that happened. The whole Bronny James thing, which I think they added like $50 million in revenue the first week in jersey sales, right? It's like, shout out to my man, Tune In Sports, go subscribe. Made the Lakers relevant again. Yes, he did. And salute to you, Tune. Parent Josh said, yo, we just got here back from work. Didn't expect the Celtics Lakers sell a team the same year. LeBron could come back home. It's his kingdom if he wants to. I'll get to that in a second, Parent John. But so again, LeBron, his relationship to the Lakers and getting the power and his leverage in the organization to get the things he wanted, the 1-year players, the roster revamps, getting JJ Redick, right, getting Bronny James. It was all through Jeanie Buss. Well, that power's gone now. Jeanie Buss is out. She's not in charge anymore. Mark Walters is in charge now. And Mark Walter and his group, they're the ones calling the shots now. And it sounds like, from what I heard today, Mark Walters, they're coming in here with a plan for the future. They got Luka Doncic, a star in his prime, right? In LA, they're building for the future with Luka Doncic, as they should. LeBron's 40 years old, right? He's only got probably 2 years left playing. Now, a lot of people are speculating with LeBron. You know, he put out the video, the thing, is he going to retire? He hasn't made a decision yet this offseason. LeBron's not retiring. Okay, I can guarantee you that. LeBron's not retiring. That's number one, which I don't think that's not like, everybody knows he wasn't retiring. Now, is next year his last season? I don't think so. I think the league maybe could say, hey, maybe LeBron next year, one more big last hoorah, right? We'll make it a retirement tour in LA, whatever. I think that may have been something that was discussed. I think LeBron, from people I trust, I think LeBron wants to play 2 more years, right? He wants to play 2 more years, and he wants those last 2 years to be significant. He wants to go out on a bang. Maybe not just championship, but also just the story, the right environment. It's his last dance, just like Michael Jordan's last dance, right? This is going to be LeBron's last dance. Just like last year when I did my shows last year, and I put in that one, the LeBron's last dance with a question mark. What's it gonna look like? What's it gonna be? There's a reason why I did all those shows a year ago, because I knew this type of day would come. I knew that this is gonna happen. I never thought him finishing his career in LA was a sure thing ever. And so now we're at a cross point. We're at the crossroads, and with Mark Walter involved now I'm sure LeBron is probably if he hasn't already, spoken to Mark Walter, maybe to get a feel. I'm sure his camp has reached out. Maybe the Mark Walter's camp has reached out. The ownership group knows. I'm sure they've been in contact with LeBron and Luka. If not, they will be in the next 24 hours. But I'm pretty sure they already have. And so I believe, though, LeBron's got to make a decision, because LeBron can opt in for $53 million, right? Now, I don't know what Mark Walters thinks of that. You know, does he want to pay an aging superstar $53 million his first year as an owner when he's got Luka Doncic? I don't know. That's a decision that we'll have to find out and wait and see. Does LeBron James, does he want to stick around now? Because LeBron doesn't have the leverage anymore through Jeanie Buss. You know what I mean? There's no connection relationship with this new ownership group. And there's going to be a lot of uncertainty now within that organization of what the power structure is going to look like. So I don't know what LeBron's going to do. He could opt in for $53 million, but let's say if he did, they're paying a 40-year-old guy $53 million. You look at the rest of that roster, it was not good enough last year to win it all. So, I mean, yeah, they have Luka, but they got a lot of tweaking. They got a lot of tweaks they got to do to that roster. They got to really fill some holes. They got to get a center. They got a lot of things they got to do, and they got creative, and they got the tax apron thing they got to work around, like all the teams. That's a new twist, a new wrench in the whole thing. So here's how I view this. This is just from my speculation and somewhat of things I heard tonight. Well, some things I did hear tonight that are kind of raising my eyebrow at this, why I want to do this live. So I think LeBron right now is probably at a 50-50. I think LeBron's plan was, which if Jeanie Buss didn't sell the team, now I think his plan would have been play next year in LA. I think the league was eventually going to expand to Vegas and Seattle, and I think he would have played that last season in Vegas as the owner, trying to or to become the owner in Vegas. I think that was the plan for the 2 years. Now the 2 years I think just got a lot different, and so I heard something earlier tonight. I'm not going to say obviously from who, but it sounds like to me maybe LeBron's already kind of is maybe looking around with this happening now and wonder where can I invest my last 2 years and where it can max out, where maybe I can compete for a championship and have the retirement tour and the best story possible to go out to sunset. And that's where I think the Cavs may come in play. I know a lot of Cavs fans hate to hear this. We're tired of talking about it. LeBron coming back home, blah, blah, blah. But I'm just telling you, I'm not saying for sure. I'm not saying it's even a thing. All I'm saying is this, is I think there could be a discussion or a thought right now that LeBron's having of where else could I go to maximize these last 2 years. If you look around the league, the best place for him is obviously Cleveland. He's not going back to Miami. Miami wouldn't even open the door. Never going to happen again. Miami would never happen. That's not. Anyways, next. Don't even mention Miami. I've heard people mention Miami tonight. Not even happening. That's for sure. But the Cavs are very interesting. Now, here's where I heard tonight was I don't know if the Cavs are fully on board with it. I don't know if the Cavs are because the Cavs view themselves right now as, we're in a win now mode. Do we want to bring in a 40-year-old star? Do we want to bring LeBron back where he's going to be retiring in a year? We have to do a retirement tour for him. Do we want to be a part of that as we're winning right now? But here's where I think the Cavs have to really look in the mirror, which is, can we win with this core four? I don't believe they can win with this core four. I think for after 3 years, we've seen enough. The way they're constructed, just from their size and just the personnel you have, I don't think this team right now with the core four is as constructed is good enough to win a championship. They have to make a move this offseason, but they're struggling with a bit of the cap and a bit of the tax apron stuff like everybody else. So they got to be creative with it. I think if I'm the Cavs, I got to really take a look at this. I'm at least making a call, back channeling probably through the agents. That's usually what happens. Obviously, they got a relationship with LeBron and Clutch Sports, so that's not a big deal. But I think it's going to be something that's going to keep an eye. We haven't heard. There's been no report yet about what LeBron's camp has said about all this with the ownership change. Hell, it could come out tomorrow morning. LeBron's still all in the Lakers. That could happen. That's why I'm not saying anything's for sure. Everything's very up in the air right now because it just happened. So, but I'm just telling you is, I think LeBron, because of his leverage is no longer there in the Lakers through Jeanie Buss and that old regime, the people that have been running the Lakers for the last X amount of years now, especially since he's been there, they're not in charge anymore. There's a new group coming in town. And they may have different plans. And what it sounds like, they're coming in building ready for the future. So this is going to get real interesting in the next couple of weeks because the draft is next Wednesday. So I think within the next week or two, we could see some interesting stuff. I could tell you, I thought it was already going to get interesting. And I was over on TuneIn Sports saying that. But I think it's really about to get interesting now. And my last point with all this, that I almost said this the other day on TuneIn Sports when I saw this. But I'm glad I didn't say it, because when I saw this news the other day, I thought of LeBron immediately because of the team and the player or the guy's name that was reported. So the Cavs are exploring coaching options. You see here, including Jared Dudley, Johnny Bryant likely to stay. So the Cavs they signed Jawad Williams, who was LeBron's teammate in 2010, local guy. Shout out to Jawad Williams. I think Jawad Williams is going to fit right into where Damari Carroll was, that role, towards the back end. The Cavs are still looking, though, to fill Jordan Ott's spot, right? And I think Jared Dudley's name he's still available. He's still out there. And this was floated around the other day that the Cavs are exploring Jared Dudley. Now, why does Jared Dudley matter in all this? Well, number one, Jared Dudley has a relationship with Kenny Atkinson because he played for him in Brooklyn back in 2018 and that time. And Jared Dudley won a championship with LeBron James, and they're very good friends in the LA Lakers. Interesting. So I found it. I thought about this the other day when I was on TuneIn Sports. I was like, yeah, I don't think LeBron's not leaving LA. I didn't think, but I did find it interesting the Cavs and Jared Dudley were connected. And I'm not surprised they were connected because like I mentioned on TuneIn Sports the other day, he's probably got some connection through that organization via LeBron and just the people, not just Kenny Atkinson. I'm sure he knows some of LeBron's the assistant GM of the Cavs. Brandon Weems is LeBron's one of his childhood best friends. Went to St. V with him, played with basketball. They still hang out all the time. They're very close. He's the assistant GM of the Cavs. He's Kobe Altman's right-hand man. And the other guy they have up there. He's heavily involved in that front office. There's people in this organization. So I'm sure Jared Dudley probably knows who he is. I'm sure they've come across each other. It's a small world. When you go to Summer League and all these things, people are traveling, hanging out. You get to know people. And so when I saw Jared Dudley connected with the Cavs the other day, I was thinking, interesting. I know he knows Kenny Atkinson, and I'm sure he knows other people in that organization too, like I just mentioned. So I'm going to keep an eye on this as well. I wonder if Jared Dudley's going to kind of just hang around and see what happens, if you know what I mean. So there's a lot of things floating around right now. There's a lot of possibilities with all this, with the Lakers selling the team. And I think LeBron is going to have to make some tough decisions himself. He has not obviously said anything publicly yet. Rich Paul went on the Rich Eisen show and left the door open. I think it was about 2-3 weeks ago. So he has not decided yet what he's going to do. I'm sure they had an inkling of what was going to happen, probably about a month ago. I'm sure word was getting around. And I'm sure that's probably why LeBron's staying put, like Rich Paul said, and just waiting and seeing what happens. But I think there's a real possibility he could be on the move. There's also a strong possibility he could stay. I think it's 50-50 because it's very fresh. We got to see. I'm sure more reports come out later tonight and tomorrow morning. And I'm sure Clutch Sports will somehow put out something eventually about what LeBron feels about this. So very interesting stuff. I think the Cavs could be involved one way or another. I think another piece to keep it on is Jared Allen. The Lakers need a center. Jared Allen, $20 million a year, not a bad price for, I think, a center if you're looking for one like the Lakers scenario. Now, for the Cavs, I don't know if it makes sense to pay him when you have Evan Mobley and you have other holes in your roster. I think maybe you could take that money and put it elsewhere for more wings, more help defensively on the perimeter, and then maybe draft a center or sign another center. I think he's replaceable for where the Cavs are and how they're constructed. But if I'm a team like the Lakers, who, you're kind of in the cap flux a little bit, you can acquire Jared Allen by giving up some of your assets and maybe could free up more money down the road. Now, especially now you have a richer owner. Jared Allen could be a piece that could be mentioned with the Lakers, and who knows where that could lead to. So I just wanted to mention that. But I'm going to stop talking. I feel like I've talked enough and kind of gave my 2 cents. I'm going to get my guys up here now. Joining me now is the man, the myth, the legend, Sir Michael Antonis. Mike.
Hello, beautiful people. How's everybody doing this fine evening?
We're doing a lot better now, Mike, than we were about a half hour ago. So,
hell yeah,
been in 2 tornado warnings today, but we're good. We're good. Everything's good. But also joining us, Mike, is Jersey as well. Jersey's
hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome on in, gentlemen.
It's fine evening.
Indubitably.
But
that's a big word.
Toon put the eye emojis. He said LeBron can come home. That would be a storybook ending for him. Yeah, that's certainly a possibility. End it with a chip where it started. If LeBron want to come home, all you have to do is say the word. Mike, I'll start with you. You heard sorry for the longer opening monologue, but I had to kind of break it down. What's your thoughts on all this, Mike? What's your reaction to today's news?
I mean,
like Parham John said, this is going to get very.
Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say it could get really interesting with the draft only a week away. I mean, I know like Cavs fans are tired of talking about it and this, that, and the other, but part of me always wished and hoped that LeBron would retire here as a Cavalier. it's always been weird seeing him in other jerseys. I know he was in Miami for a good amount of time, and now he's been with the Lakers a good amount of time too. But it just seems any other jersey that Bron wore just didn't seem right. And I think I would welcome Bron back with open arms. I think he could be a good addition to the Cavs, this Cavs team, which is a lot of youth. Provides some solid championship leadership and also excellent play to the court. I think it would be incredibly fun to see, and I think he would be an important piece. I mean, you add him into like you keep Darius, you keep Evan, you find a way to trade Jared Allen and maybe some picks or players, and to bring LeBron back. I think that wouldn't be a guaranteed championship per se, but it would be a better one. Better chance, rather, I should say.
Jersey, what's your thoughts on all this?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if what's that.
I want to mention this. So there is some reports coming out, like I said. So now we're getting a little more information tonight. According to Ramona Shelbourne, she's saying, quote, James, who is 40, has played 22 seasons, is said to be comfortable with the sale, though he is nearing the end of his career. She said also important to note, Jeanie Buss will not only remain the Lakers governor, but will continue to run the team for at least a number of years, according to the sources with knowledge of the deal. In other words, it's guaranteed as part of the agreement that Jeanie Buss will remain in charge for the foreseeable future, and Mark Walton will fully endorse this plan, according to sources. Now, some people have said that that's not the case, so I'm not really sure what's going on. That's interesting. So again, this is all very interesting and fresh. Go ahead, Jersey.
Well, I mean, I guess it's up to him. I mean, what does the guy want? You know what I mean? I'm with you. I think he plays 2 more years. You know, it's that way he can, when Bryce gets drafted, you know what I mean? He can play a season with him. I'm with Mike though. It's just odd. I just can't see him doing the farewell, the whole, last call in a different uniform other than the Cavs. But then it goes to, would the Cavs take him back? You know what I mean? Do they want? LeBron.
Let me clarify something. So Ramona Shelbourne reported this, that she's still in charge of the team. But here's what that report I think should also note, and this is just me. Who's the guy paying the bills now?
Right.
Mark Walters. So yeah, Jeanie Buss might be running the team, but she's not paying the money. And that's why I said earlier, who has the final power now? Mark Walton. What does Mark Walton think? Does Mark Walton want to pay all this money to a 40-year-old, to what the 40-year-old's demanding? Which he's been able to do that to Jeanie Buss, because Jeanie Buss didn't want him to leave for the last 8 years, right? But that's why I said earlier that report from Ramona Shelbourne to me doesn't really mean anything. It means nothing, basically, and especially what I heard from somebody earlier that you heard also who that was, Jersey, which I'm not going to say his name, but it doesn't mean anything, that report to Ramona Shelbourne, because at the end of the day, the guy paying the bills now, he's the one who's in charge. He gets the last say. He's the one who's going to call the shots. So that goes back to my original point. What is he going to do? Because he doesn't have the leverage most likely that he had with Jeanie Buss paying the bills anymore.
Well, no, he doesn't. And somebody doesn't pay $10 billion for a team to not have a say so. You know what I mean? She's gonna be the person executing.
She's the face.
What goes on in their meetings, what he wants. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's the question. Does he want to pay this guy $100 million for 2 years? Does Dan Gilbert want to pay the guy $100 million for 2 years?
And that's what the other rumor going around that I heard tonight was that the Cavs aren't fully on board with it, because they view themselves in a win now mode, and they don't know if they want to throw in a retirement tour in the middle of that.
Right. I mean, the Cavs have done a great job drafting and growing their players. I mean, here's another guy that we're not even talking about, Tamani Bates. You know what I mean? I mean, if they can get him active and get him, I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, don't get me started with that.
Yeah. So I just don't know if they want. You kind of blow it up. I mean, you're going here. If LeBron were to come back here, the Cavs would be essentially putting all the chips in 2 years. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. If you say you're winning, if you're all in on winning, you don't know if you want to bring him back. Well, I think he kind of helps you both ways, though.
Well, it's a win-win for both.
It's a win-win. That's what I mean. It's a win-win for both because this core four, they're not winning a championship.
Well, I said this on the show. They have what they were lacking is leadership and experience. They were lacking that kind of leader on the team that's got all that experience, and then he's lacking the cast. He didn't have the right people around him. They're old, and I mean, it's a win-win for both. It's just, does Dan Gilbert? I don't even think it's about the money. Does Dan Gilbert want to go back to that? You know what I mean? So the money's there. Obviously, it creates more money, puts them on national TV pretty much every damn game. Apparel sales, ticket sales. So, does the league want that? You know what I mean? To help with ratings. I mean, there's a lot of different variables to play in. Would I be excited? Yeah, I think I would. I mean, LeBron's pissed me off a lot. Some of this dumb shit he said, but here I start watching that dude his sophomore year, and I went to every high school game. Unless they were out of state, I went to every damn game. I mean, I've always been a fan.
Too, as little Joe was at some of those too.
Yeah, you were there. I mean, shit, all the jerseys, everything I've ever bought you when you were a kid, and all the games you went to, and I'm a fan. You know what I mean? We watch the Lakers. We wouldn't be watching the Lakers if LeBron wasn't on the Lakers. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of times we're sitting there doing it to laugh, but no, I would welcome it. I think it'd be exciting. You know what I mean? It's here. I've been to plenty of games when he's here in town, man. It is a different experience when he's here. So now, is it the same as being 40 years old? Yeah, probably not exactly, but I mean, he's still effective. But I think, if he came in with the mindset of, okay, I got 2 years, let's just say he brought LeBron Jr. with him, and then they were waiting on Bryce, and I'm going to come in there. I got 2 years. I gotta teach and mentor these guys. I got to mentor these guys to a championship. I mean, then I think it could happen. You know what I mean?
Well, what do you think about this too? The other day, I thought the timing of this was odd. That his guy Jared Dudley is being is being explored as an assistant coaching option for the Cavs because one of their top assistants took the head coaching job with the Phoenix Suns, so now they got to replace that spot. Right, they lost Amari Carroll. They replaced that with Jawad Williams today. Jawad Williams was on the Cavs team before LeBron went to Miami. A local guy as well. Obviously, they know each other. But Jared Dudley is being interviewed for the Cavs assistant coaching hole.
Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, he's got all kinds of his people there. You know what I mean? So.
Well, here's my thought on that too. If I'm LeBron, not to cut you off, and I'll let you guys take a crack at this, is if I'm LeBron and I'm seriously considering coming back, let's say, I don't know him and Kenny Atkinson's experiences, you know what I mean? But I feel like Jared Dudley to me is kind of like an insurance policy because Jared Dudley has a relationship with Kenny Atkinson. He's kind of like the middleman between the two, right? And I think Jared Dudley's kind of like the insurance policy LeBron needs on that bench.
Oh yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, it's exactly what he is. He's the middleman. He helps establish the rapport, and I'm like I said, I'm not surprised. It's always seemed like his arms still reach deep into the Cavs. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, but I mean, who knows? I mean, it just depends on what that guy wants. You know what I mean? If he wants to win, then get out of LA. You're not winning in LA. It's not going to happen. You're not going to win there. I
No.
don't think so. Even with Luka, you're not going to win. So,
Mike, what's your thoughts on this, Mike, with Jared Dudley?
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. And with Kenny Atkinson's not going to go anywhere. I mean, LeBron isn't going to, force the coach of the year out of the team. So it's better to have, if he does come back, somebody he's familiar with on the bench as a coach, as somebody that he can like turn to and talk to. Because at the end of the day, if LeBron were to come back, he's here for at most 3 years,
2 years,
at least 2. At most 2.
It's 2 years,
2 years.
It's 2 years. That's the plan. It's 2 years.
Yeah. So at most 2 years. Obviously, Kenny's going to be here, hopefully, far longer than that. So it'd be good to have that insurance policy, someone to, like you said, run a buffer, run interference between the two parties.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like you said, Jersey, it's going to be interesting to see what he wants to do. I mean, if he wants to just take the $53 million and ride out in the sunset and maybe get to that Vegas team when it expands and sticks to his plan, that I've heard was the plan for a while, then maybe that's what he does. But I think this is going to be interesting now, though, because I do think he wants to go out on a bang. Like, I don't think he wants to just go out the way things happen. You know what I mean? Do you guys think that? I don't think he does.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I wouldn't think so.
That's a pretty dry ending to a great career.
Because, I mean, essentially, he hasn't won a championship since he was with the Cavs. I don't care about this bubble one. That don't even count. He hasn't won since he was with the Cavs. So, I mean, what did they get? They got swept out of the first round this year, right? Did they get swept?
Yes.
I think so. Yeah, the Timberwolves, they lost in 5 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If he wants to win, then he leaves the Lakers. If he doesn't want to win, he wants to continue to live that life out there, then he stays out there. It just depends. What's this guy want? You know what I mean? I can't imagine he doesn't want to try to win. Oh my gosh! I mean, that would be like, man, you played your last 9 seasons and come up empty.
Yeah, I mean, he did make the comments yesterday on a show that went viral today that people react to, that he thinks the whole ring culture thing's kind of overrated, that it's kind of overblown, that it shouldn't be all about just winning, how many championships you win and all this. But
well, of course he says that. But if he had 6 or 7, he wouldn't be saying that.
Yeah, I think he still wants to match Kobe. Kobe's got 5. I think he wants to get 5.
Yeah.
And like Toon said, great point. East is wide open next year. There's no Jason Tatum. He's out next year. I mean, the Pacers, they may have just been a little miracle run team. The Knicks, I don't think he's worried about the Knicks or the Pacers, honestly, if you add him to the team. Who's he worried about in the East, Mike? I don't see anybody. I mean, Orlando?
Yeah, I mean,
but would a LeBron with this Cavs team beat Orlando? Probably. I mean, the Cavs beat that Orlando team. I know they got better with Desmond Bane, but the East is wide open next year, Mike.
It is. I mean, if this year proved anything with the Pacers' Linsanity run, the East can be won by anybody.
Jersey, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, I mean, you just think about the Cavs this year. If they would have had someone with that kind of experience and leadership, what they could have done. That was the thing that was here. That was 2 things that were lacking. They were getting killed. I mean, their guards too small, but they had no leadership. There's no lead. I don't see Donovan Mitchell as that guy. I think he needs a leader.
He's never won a championship, so how can he?
That's what I'm saying. I mean, and he's the guy out there because he's their best player. So he's the guy, but he's never won anything. He's never even come close to winning anything. So they need someone out there that does that. I mean, how often do you have a guy that's just played that many games and It's got
Tristan Thompson's not enough as a
no. That guy's a fucking idiot. Get that guy out of here. Why is that guy even being brought up? That guy. That really makes me think LeBron's coming back here because he's got the guy that handles his luggage on the team already, gets his Gatorade, then handles all that shit. He's got his concierge sitting on the desk because that guy is a coattail rider, towel waving son of a bitch. I can't say it enough. He is he does nothing. And he was sucked when he played. He was terrible. You talk about that guy. I mean, that guy. You talk about hitting the gosh darn Mega Millions when he signed with Clutch Sports because they got that jackass paid. Man, he should have never ever got that one contract he got. Unbelievable. What was he doing to get them to get that done for him? So no, don't even bring that goon up. He's a total waste. I don't even dislike the guy. I don't even obviously I don't know him personally, but just what I've seen over the years on the court and on the bench and just that's your. If anybody says that's your leadership, no wonder the Cavs got their asses kicked in by the Pacers. I mean, the guys are. He's a habitual towel waver. I can't say it enough. So no,
you're not the biggest fan. We get that.
Yeah, he's just. God bless him. He made it to the NBA, but that dude should have never got paid that kind of money. He really is a coattail rider. The epitome of a coattail rider. Good grief. And he's just sitting here waiting on LeBron to come back. So, but
he said, I'll give up Allen and Okoro right now and Wade. Yeah, I'll give up Dean Wade any minute. Dean Wade can't guard a freaking chair.
Dean Wade. That guy looks like he should be out running a fucking tractor on a farm. Dean Wade. We got big Dean Wade out there. That's our cat.
What do you think of that, Mike?
Yeah, no, I could trade Dean Wade, Okoro, and Allen. That Jared Allen one sucks to give up because I really do love Jared Allen, but
he's just been a no-show of the playoffs. That's what it matters most. At least, yeah, not a great series for him at all. Cavs not winning is constructed right now. Still a great team and will make some noise. Dan probably want to win without LeBron, but I'm open to it. That's interesting. Here's where I think Dan Gilbert's smart. I'm curious what you guys think about this. I think Dan Gilbert's smart enough because he's been in this position before to look at the Cavs team, look at how they could improve, which right now doesn't seem like there's any major improvements they can really make that can really help them upgrade over these other teams in the East. As wide open as the East is next year, the Cavs as currently constructed are not better than some of these teams, especially the Magic that got better. I don't know if they could beat them in a 7-game series. They just lost at the Pacers. So, and the Knicks could get better still. They got tradable assets and are going to be shopping in the market this offseason or possibly trades. So I think Dan's smart enough to realize, hey, you know what? I don't think this core four, I think we've kind of maxed it out. I don't know if we can really improve around it that can help the holes we need to get filled with the money we have with the tax apron stuff. I think Dan's going to try to get maybe creative. Maybe LeBron, maybe use Jared Allen as a piece, and you get LeBron back in here, and you use some other, you get him on a lesser deal. I think if LeBron did come back, he probably would be on a lesser contract.
right.
Because I think he would try to help the Cavs fill out the roster more because you're essentially trying to win next year with it being wide open as it is. What do you guys think of that? What do you think? How do you think Dan Gilbert could be approaching this?
If he can get LeBron, he should be approaching it from pretty much every angle. I'd go in first, see if the trade would make sense for both the Cavs and the Lakers. I think that's the biggest thing because who knows, the new Lakers brass could be asking for something nuts that we're not willing to give up, and this is all for naught. and before you even start to think about the logistics of having LeBron back in Cleveland, you know what I mean? So that's the first part. I would even see if the Lakers were open to it, and if they were, what kind of package it would be, and then you could worry about the LeBron logistics of him being back in Cleveland, if that makes sense.
Jersey, you got the chats just laughing up.
Oh, I do.
Oh yeah. Parajohn says Dean Wade sucks.
It sucks ass.
Teflon Don's in the house. He said get Shador on the Cavs. He drives over 100 miles per hour. Will drive to the rim as well. Anyways, Jersey, what's your thoughts?
Well, I mean, if you think of, I mean, all of Dan Gilbert's companies are like elite companies. They're supposed to be the best companies to work for. If you look at what he did with the Cavs from the day one that he bought them, everything he does is top notch, first class. What he's done in the city of Cleveland, I mean, just look at his mortgage company. I mean, it's supposed to be one of the best companies in the world to work for. And look what he's built it into. So he obviously knows how to build winning organizations, winning teams. It's proven. I also think the thing that I've always loved about Dan Gilbert is I think he gives the Cavs what they want, or the fans what they want. I think that's first and foremost to him, because when he bought the Cavs, just the immediate investment into the gun. He renovated it. I mean, he's just made it's always been such a great in-game experience, and they're always trying to make it better for the fans. And I think he's that kind of guy that he knows where his money comes from, and I think that's where his passion is. So I think if he really believed the Cavs or the fans wanted that, I think he does it. The money's not here. These guys own these teams as a hobby. You know what I mean? These aren't their money makers. I mean, if you look at the Cavs, even when they won the championship, they showed a loss that year. They didn't even show a net profit. I mean, this shit's just for fun for these guys. You know what I mean? So, I mean, somebody look up what the value of Rocket home loans is. I mean, it's staggering. So, I don't think he really gives a shit about the money. I just think does he want all the other bullshit that comes with it? Because he obviously he has built a culture and doesn't want it fucked with, I should say. But if he really believes we can get this done in 2 years, the fans will get a championship and they'll have a lot of fun while they're getting it. I think he does it. But again, what the hell's LeBron want to do?
Yeah, right? That's the thing. I mean, I don't know. And I'm sitting here scanning, refreshing to see if any new articles come out. But I find this all very interesting. It's gonna be with the draft in a week away. I mean, this next week's gonna get really, really interesting. What do you guys think about, though? There was a report that came out today on 92.3 The Fan. Ethan Sands, who I believe is Cleveland.com. He's Cleveland.com reporter with the Cavs. And a lot of people are saying this. Some people are putting out the same. They think the Cavs core needs to stay intact one more season to see if they could stay healthy in the playoffs. What do you guys think about that? To me personally, I don't think this core as constructed can win, because I think they're just too small in the backcourt. And I think when you're paying a guy like Jared Allen $90 million in the front court alongside Evan Mobley, and you're paying him $20 million a year, and he gives you 2 rebounds in a game 4 and 0 points. I don't think that's worth keeping around. I think his position nowadays in the NBA is very replaceable. And I think I could use him possibly to get some more wings. I think they need to focus more on guys who can help get stops on the other end and give your guards and other more chances and opportunities to score, because they could score points. We know that with the offense they have. With Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland alone, they can really score a lot of points. Evan Mobley should get more touches and be featured more next season. But I think they need to get they need to get more defensive help out there. Where guys, and you need to get the Dean Wades and Isaac Okoro's off your roster who are
Yeah.
inconsistent, or guys like Dean Wade who get picked on defensively. And you need more consistency from guys like Jared Allen too, who I don't know if you pay that. I like him a lot, like him personally, but $20 million a year, I could put that money elsewhere and help me out on the defenseman on the perimeter, which is where you really need it nowadays. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument for keeping the core together because, I mean, here we did win a ton of games in the regular season, but it kind of what Paramjot just said on screen. It just, I don't know if they can go the distance the way they're currently constructed. I mean, there are too many no-showers in the playoffs. And if you can get better with some real like veteran talent like a LeBron or even like somebody else who you think who can help you in the postseason specifically, you absolutely have to.
What do you think, Jersey?
No, they can't just keep this core together. He's going to have the same result. When that Indiana series, game one, the series was over. They got punched in the mouth. Indiana came out physical as all hell. The Cavs didn't even respond. They didn't even play physical. They played with no heart that whole series. They were defeated in game one. That series was over with. And they just don't know how to win at that level. And they can win some regular season games, but it's just like when LeBron left Cleveland the first time and went to Miami for Pat Riley. Pat Riley taught him how to win. You know what I mean? So, and LeBron said that. It said it was kind of like going to college. Somebody needs to teach these young guys at the Cavs how to win. And I think he'd be the perfect guy. The place would just be so gosh darn electric. I mean, it would just be a whole different experience for these guys that are there now in Cleveland, and just what they would learn, just playing with him and practicing with him, and you know what I mean, watching everything that he does, how he takes care of himself and his focus. So, I think instantly in a hypothetical situation, somehow he landed here this summer, they could arguably be the favorite next year. I mean, because like the East is with Tatum out, I mean they got a possibly a pretty nice path to the finals. So, he'll still come in even at 40, 41 years old. He'll still come in great shape, and he'll still probably be playing at a pretty high level. You know, so as much as I've bitched about him about a lot of times, I mean, you can't take it away from him. It's absolutely unreal what he does, and to still play at that level and still get the points, still get the rebounds, still get the assists, gather some steals, and play that many minutes. It's absolutely it's crazy. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, shout out Progressive Sports Fan. Welcome on in the show. He said, La GM, La Fraud, La Clown. He said, the only thing the Cavs can learn is how to blame deflect. So, again, I think some fans, Mike, would be on board. Some fans wouldn't be on board.
Well, here and that guy, whoever that is, or they have a valid point. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the other side of the whole LeBron thing is, you know, it's.
Well, that's why I bring up. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, here, each time he left the organization for freaking shambles. You know what I mean? And it was always somebody else's fault. So, I mean, I understand that. I understand the sentiment. If there's fans that say hell no, I don't want that guy back here. I get it. You know what I mean? I couldn't look at somebody and just like argue it to the death. You know what I mean? I just couldn't do that. So, you know, it's going to make for a great debate.
Yeah, and that's why I bring up. I mean, he's always going to have influence on the roster. You know, I know Rich Paul says LeBron doesn't make the final decisions and all that, but he has input. That's not doesn't take a Swami to figure that out. Okay, that's pretty obvious. But now that like Ramona Shelburne put out, she's still in charge of the Lakers, of the roster, but she's not the one paying the bills. All right. That's Mark Walton now. I don't know if Mark Walton is going to want to spend all this money around a 40-year-old when he's got Luka Doncic on his roster as a young superstar at his prime, where he can just build around him. And, it's funny, former NBA player Danny Green, who we all know the Cavs drafted, LeBron's former teammate, won a championship with him with the Lakers and play with him here in Cleveland. Danny Green said recently on the All the Smoke podcast that he doesn't think that LeBron and Luka can win a championship together as a duo, because LeBron's years are behind him as a defensive player. Obviously, he's older, and they need help defensively. Yeah, they could score the ball a lot. He said he was, paraphrasing, but he said they could score the ball a lot. But Luka does everything LeBron does. Basically, they basically do some of the same things offensively in terms of playmaking. Yeah. You know what I mean? So how can they ever really win together? I don't see it either. And they don't have the pieces right now to really help them out defensively either. So, yeah, that's why I'm kind of like, he's always going to have input on that roster, and I just don't think he's going to have what he's had in LA anymore with this happening today.
Yeah, no, I hear that's a really good point, Joseph.
I don't know. Just hoping Darius Garland gets healthy.
Me too, bro.
Yeah,
I hope he grows 5 inches.
Well, I know he had the surgery.
He puts on 20 pounds.
Yeah. He said, I get it. I hated how LeBron left again, but do you want to win? Do you think the Cavs really can win with this team? I'm talking championship, not just getting to the second round. Are you talking about with LeBron too? He said that's on top of the fact the Lakers also have a good young player in Austin Reeves. Yeah, I think Austin Reeves is a good young player. I think the Dalton Connect kid could still be a really good young player. I think last year his confidence got shattered a little bit when he was almost traded. Any rookie would probably get his confidence would probably get shattered by that. But yeah, they got some younger pieces over there. They got Reeves, they got Connect. They got some tradable assets. I think Rui Hachimura could be a guy they could move. Dorian Finney-Smith's an older player, but a good wing. So they got some, pieces. Like you said, Reeves averaged 20 last year, 6 assists, 6 assists to 4.5 assists as a Laker, third best player. Yeah, he was their third option by far. Toon says, does LeBron give you a better chance than running it back? So basically, do you think we have a better chance of adding LeBron and let's say we give up Allen, or do you think we have a better chance of keeping the core 4 and running it back to winning a championship?
Like a better chance to win, I think, adding LeBron, and as long as you only have to give up Allen, I think you have a better chance with LeBron.
Jersey, what do you think?
I agree. It was obvious. Who could watch? I can't even believe anyone would even talk about that. If you saw that team against the Pacers, that team can't come back and run it back again.
What did you do? What did Pittman chalk it up to? It was just injuries.
It wasn't just injuries. They were here. I watched that game 1. They were their faces on the bench. They were done. Those guys don't have the mental capacity to win. And they have all the talent. They just don't know how to win. They don't know how to react in those situations. And you can't bring back just those guys. You've kind of done that the last 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? 2 years ago, they didn't make the playoffs. Then what?
No, 3 years ago they lost.
3
to the
years
Hawks.
didn't make.
2 years ago they got stomped by the Knicks.
Yeah.
Or 3 years ago they got stomped by or 2 years ago they got stomped by the Knicks. Last year they lost to a championship Celtics team, which they were better than the Celtics. And then this year, first round or second round exit, excuse me.
Right. You got all these guys on contract now. Now is when you got to, in the next couple of years, make the most serious run you can, and whatever it takes and whatever you're lacking is what you have to add, and because that window will close. So, and you're not going to get any other, marquee free agents to come here. It's just not going to happen. You know what I mean? So that's if you want to win, you want to deliver another championship to Cleveland, that's your best bet. You know, maybe somehow they can still add a few more pieces around it. I'm sure LeBron will. That's what he does. And, you know, but my gosh, if you look at you got, you just got a talent like Mobley and you got Mitchell there. I mean, you just got so much talent that just needs to be taught how to win. And every coach needs that guy on the court or that guy on the field. You know, Andy Reid has Mahomes. Belichick had Brady. You got to have that extension of you. You know what I mean? That middleman between the team and the coach. And so they don't have that right now. And really,
I don't see it.
And I mean, here, well, he won it with the Golden State, but I mean, how many people in the league, players or coaches or GMs, have more basketball IQ or acumen than LeBron?
Not many.
Right. Imagine if you just threw out the selfish part of LeBron, that he's always self-serving and he's always planning and plotting. If you just threw that out, and this guy said, you know what? I played 22 years. I've won a shitload of games. I got 4 championships, Olympics. I'm gonna just teach these. I'm gonna teach guys. I'm gonna play these last couple of years. I'm gonna take a different approach, and it just went into it that way, and just started, trying to build other great players. It would be mind-boggling what he could do.
I think he did that a little bit with Luka this year, but because they are similar in a way. I mean, I think Luka does a lot of things LeBron did at that age. You know what I mean? But I think I think from experience standpoint, and shout out to, we got some newer people in here. Shout out to John Janovich. Excuse me, I didn't pronounce that right, but welcome on in. He said Cavs definitely have a better chance to win if they get LeBron. I agree. I'm gonna give my take on that in a second. Guy Banks says in with the new, out with the old.
Hey, Guy.
Yeah, Guy Banks. That's a great name. He said, "Hey guys, do you think the Cavs have a promising player in Jalen Tyson?" I think they do. I like Jalen Tyson. I thought he should have played more last year. I know TuneIn Sports and I have talked about that on his channel. By the way, go subscribe to TuneIn Sports as well for Cavs content. If you're into that, definitely go subscribe to him. He's putting out content daily this week, killing it. I also go over there and get my analysis as well. But do I think they have a good young player in Jalen Tyson? I do. I thought he should have played more last year. I think he's like a Swiss Army knife. I think he could be a lot of like what you see with Aaron Nembhard over there in the Pacers. I think he could become that guy for us, which is very valuable in today's game. I thought he should play more. I'm still waiting for Monty Bates to get a little more playing time. Now, he may not be something, but I think the talent is certainly there. Shaq even saw it and said it recently, like a lot of people. I think you only know if you put him out there and try and see what he's got. I think they need to play him. I think that might have been more of the front office kind of holding the brakes on that.
Right.
So, and maybe the older coaching staff, but I think they need to put him out there and see what he's got. I think he could be a stud. Also played against LeBron and growing up as well. So I know LeBron knows Amani. That would be interesting if he came back, that those two together on the same team. I'm sure LeBron could help him out a ton. And that kid's talent is for real. So I think they have a better chance with LeBron just because I think the experience, and it's just a different aura when LeBron's in Cleveland. It's just different. Like, imagine if Shedeur Sanders next year, Mike, in Jersey, it becomes something for the Browns. Like, what if he starts and takes over and they start playing well? And it's kind of like Baker's effect, his rookie year, where it was the number one. Obviously, the Browns are always the number one team in Cleveland, and you're the Cavs coming back in late October, early November, and you're running it back with the same team coming off that loss. Who's getting into that?
Nobody.
And oh, by the way, Ohio State, the defending national champs, who's big in Ohio as well, they got a pretty good team next year, and they'll be running it back with Jeremiah Smith and the crew, and they'll probably have a good chance of winning, if not be the favorites. So Dan Gilbert, to me, is smart enough to realize, hey, I got to get ahead of the curve and keep this team flowing to where it needs to be, off and on the court, because on the court affects off the court. So Right now, if they just run it back, I don't think they'll have the same lure they had because you won 60 plus games this year. And yes, you had the injuries, but you still got beat pretty good by the Pacers.
Yeah.
Well, I think if they didn't, if they weren't let's just say they were a 45 win team or a 50 win team, obviously there wouldn't have been that many people watching the Cavs or believing in the Cavs. When when you're winning that many games, you're that far in a season with only so little losses. Obviously, people start to watch. You know what I mean? But people saw none of that meant shit because they got their asses smoked in the second round of the playoffs. So I'm not watching them. I'm not. I can tell you this: after last season, if they came back the same squad, I'm not making it a point to turn them on. I'll sit there and watch it with you, but I'm not like I gotta get home and watch the Cavs. I'm not doing that shit. The crazy thing is, I actually make it a point to watch the Lakers. You know what I mean? So, what's that tell you? So, again, and I think probably a lot of people are going to think like that. They're like, "Oh, these same guys are back."
They're trending more towards the Guardians where they are right now.
Yeah,
Where the Guardians right now had a rough week and it's looking bad right now. Like, they're going to be sellers. I mean, they had that little run 2 years ago and everything was magical. And oh my gosh, the Guardians. And then last year they get stomped by the Yankees, the Yankees again. Juan Soto went up there and just cussed out our pitcher and hit the ball out of the park, and that was all she wrote. And then here we come back this year, and now are they below 500 now, Mike? Or not? It's looking real rough recently. Yeah, looking real. Like Parent John said, don't even get me started on the guards. The Dolans need to sell ASAP. But again,
I would give anything.
I think the Cavs. I don't think Dan Gilbert's never going to be in that realm because he's proven otherwise, and he's been a much better overall owner, in my opinion, because he spent more. And I know some people try to nitpick Dan Gilbert, but I think Dan Gilbert's been a better owner than the Dolans. That's just my opinion. Not that the Dolans have been bad. They've always put out a consistent product. They've had no real issues. I get that. They've won a lot. They made it to World Series. I get that. They've done some great things. However, they're just not. They can't compete in that market. They just can't. And here we are now. And I saw Jersey and I went and saw the Double-A team 2 weeks ago, and there wasn't nothing special down there. Bazana's out, so without him out there, did we see anybody that night that was, man, that guy's got to get up to the next level?
No, but what I was going to say is, obviously I've been up to an Indians game. I was up to an Indians game this year, and I've been to a couple Rubber Ducks games, and hell, I'd rather just go to Rubber Ducks. I mean, I didn't really feel like that game I went to. I really just want to see Mike Trout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean.
But my whole point is, I think if the Cavs run it back with the core four, they're heading more in that direction.
They are, because it's been 3 years now. I mean, that's exactly where they're going, and that window is going to. You got them all on contract. You got to go all in now. So. That's your best opportunity because, like I said, you're not getting another marquee player here. So it's just not going to happen. So now LeBron comes here, and somehow I don't know. I don't really know all the details on the cap and how much money they have or what moves they can make. Could they bring another solid player here with them?
Could they bring Connect with them?
Yeah, I mean that guy.
That guy can play. I don't care.
Yeah, he can.
That dude, he had a rookie year last year that was kind of in turmoil because they tried trading him and stuff. But that guy, and LeBron even says it, that guy could have been the number one pick last year, according to LeBron. Now, maybe he was just hyping him up, but that dude was dominant in college and showed it. And when he had the opportunity last year, he balled out.
Right, he did.
When he had that green light, that dude could ball, and everybody else says it. He said Joseph loves Dalton Connect. I do. That dude can ball. I'm telling you, everybody says
it. Can.
That dude, that's a player. They stole his ass. Let's see here. But yeah, that's my whole point, Mike. I mean, Mike, I don't want them to head towards that route like where the Guardians are right now. I know, Mike, you pay more attention to the Guardians than me.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine, Mike, with the Cavs? And what's that, Mike? Maybe paint the picture right now where the Guardians really are.
I mean, it's just that they could be so much better. They could have been so much better. They did nothing at the trade deadline last year, where they had such a great run that they really could have competed for the World Series had they made some actual moves just for once in their life. But the Dolans are cheap and they don't really care about the fans or the team or anything really. And
didn't they bring all these like other? Didn't they like bring all these other minority owners in recent years too, guys?
Yeah, and hopefully they'll buy him out eventually. And Mr. Dolan wonders why his brother lost whatever like state senate race he was wondering. We don't like him here. Dumb idiot bastard.
Here, they have, and I know this for certain because I know people that are very, very close to them. They have one goal every year, and that's just to make the playoffs, so they can collect the TV revenue. It's the World Series isn't even a goal; it is just to make the playoffs. And it's obvious in the way that they run their team. And I hear they've always had the best farm system. You know what I mean? I don't. But they farm them up and then ship them out of here because they don't want to pay them. So
yeah, and it's funny too. They have some outfielders too right now in AAA they can call up, and they won't even call them up.
They're just they shouldn't own a team. I mean, if you're doing that, you're just shitting on your fans. If you're not willing to go all in, like a lot of these other owners, then just sell the team. I get it. If that's how you want to operate, fine. You want to just. Here, I don't think professional sports teams are meant to be ran like just any other business. You know what I mean? There's almost like an obligation to the fans. I mean, fans pay a very high premium in every aspect: tickets, parking, apparel, food, cable TV. You should be doing everything you can to deliver a championship for your fans. And if you're going to own a sports team, and they just don't do it, they never have, and they need to get the hell out of here. I really would just sell the team already.
Right.
Yeah, and my whole, again, not to reiterate it again, but my whole point with the Cavs with them, I feel like if they run it back with the core four, like Parham John said, I think you're going to expect the same result next year because I don't think there's any move they can make around them that's going to be like significant from what I see right now that's available. And based on what they're willing to give up per the reports. So, I mean, I know Windhorst said they're willing to give up the 2 second-round picks or possibly move those. He expects those probably get moved, which that could be interesting in a trade with the Lakers, maybe. I don't know. But that if even without LeBron in the picture, I don't see where that gets you any. I mean, maybe it can move up and get you. I like the kid out of Kentucky, the Amari Williams kid, the center. I think he could be the Derek Lively of this draft where he can really make some impact next year and be a starting center in this league. I think he's kind of slept on. But that position's also not as high value in the NBA anymore at the center position. But, yeah, I just don't want them to go down that route where you're just stuck, where you're stuck with the same old, and if you expect the same result every year. Nobody expects the Guardians ever really win a championship because, like you said, Jersey, we know from people we know that the real goal is not a World Series. It really.
And who the hell is going to believe in an owner that fucking caved in and changed the name of a team that have been around for so long? That guy's a soft ass. I won't even call him that. I won't call him that other name. I've refused. I still call them the Indians or the Cleveland baseball team. They're just terrible owners. I mean, I got so pissed off when they did that, man. I actually started. I called in and was leaving messages to them. I really did. I don't think I ever told you that, but I did. I was pissed about that. It's terrible. I mean, that's almost like taking the Browns out of Cleveland. I mean, it's the Cleveland Indians, or taking the Red Sox out of Boston, or the Yankees out of New York. It's the Cleveland Indians. My God, they made a movie on it. And this soft-ass owner.
Yeah, you see they might change the you see that, Mike? They might change the logo again.
Oh, my gosh. What are they going to change it to now?
Now it's going to be like instead of the C, it's going to be like a G with like where you can see the C ingrained into it. It looks kind of weird.
Gosh.
I'm not in on
I'm
it.
not really.
They
I'm
came
not
out
really
that they came out with those jerseys last year and act like they just reinvented everything and we're back. And I mean, they're cool looking, they're nice jerseys, but I mean, that ain't getting me hyped. I'm sorry.
I'm not all about it.
I'd rather go
You
I'll
can't
put my
take that
money
name out of
elsewhere.
Cleveland.
No. Evan Mobley's a flat out stud. Yes, he is. He is a big time stud. Cavs don't have any leadership in crunch time down the stretch. LeBron is what they need. Imagine LeBron and Donovan attacking the basket. And I think LeBron's always been at his best with, to me, guys, when he's had a attacking guard, a Dwayne Wade and a Kyrie Irving, and that's what I think. Donovan Mitchell's in that ballpark with those two. I think LeBron's better with having an ace like that because he has somebody that can close out in the end and take the pressure off from the ball handling and create his own shot and can really attack defenses. What do you guys think of that? Those two?
That'd be fun to watch. Is what I think. It'd be a really fun dynamic to watch.
I mean, it's ironic that Mitchell's game almost exactly mimics Dwayne Wade's, and then Mobley's so much like Bosch. Yeah. I've always said that. You know what I mean? So, and I mean, here if worked in Miami, obviously. So,
he said, "Stupid storm knocked out my Wi-Fi." Sorry to hear that, bud. I hope it comes back on soon. Those some pretty good storms. Cav have all the have it all roster construction wise, but just not the leadership consistently late in games or in big games. That's all. Yeah, John, I totally agree. I think we all agree with you. I think roster wise, they probably need another backup big. I think they need another big in the rotation, but probably a little more another defender on the wing. But I agree, they got pretty much everything they need. They just need that one missing piece, and he might be that piece. He said, "Don't get me started with the guards." What would a LeBron and Lakers trade look like? I don't know if it would be a trade, progressive sports fan. I don't know if LeBron would just opt out, just sign here, and for less money, or if they did a sign and trade, or maybe I don't think he would opt into 53 because the Cavs couldn't do that. So I think it would probably be like a sign and trade where he would sign a new deal, opt out, sign a new deal, and then they would trade that. Probably him. I think they want to get rid of Connect because that relationship's probably sour because they already tried moving him, and then Bronny obviously is going wherever his dad goes. So that would be the three pieces I would think. I think probably Jared Allen would get put in that trade because the Lakers need a center regardless. Maybe Isaac Okoro. I don't know maybe not. Maybe Dean Wade. I think would probably get mentioned in there. Max Strus is interesting. I don't think the Cavs want to move off of Max Strus, but I think it could be brought up. So that'd be really fascinating to see what happens. I think it would be a really interesting trade. But Jared Allen would probably be the main piece because Lakers do need a center for $20 million for where they are and kind of like not a rebuild, but they got to reset, obviously, with the new ownership and kind of build for the future. That's not a terrible piece to put with Luka at all. Jared Allen's an all-star, and it's consistent. And for most of the parties hasn't been as good as in playoffs as we need him to be. Let's see here. He said, "Damn, I could actually see that trade." Yes, Joseph loves DK. He said, "F it, this brain don't connect with the LeBron." Absolutely. Now you're thinking, see, Tune, I told you, buddy. He's a great player. Connect is better than Austin Reeves by far for Lakers. For whatever reason, disrespect to Connect. Oh, Lakers front office for whatever reason disrespect to Connect and cut his minutes. He deserves a team like Cavs. Yeah, I think Connect is going to be a stud. That kid can flat out play. Jersey, I know you like Connect. You watched him play. I think he was dominant in college. Can really shoot 6'6", 6'7". Really fits the modern NBA really well. Enjoy him while he's still here. Stuck in my head. I hate Toon also put up, I saw the one Toon earlier put up the one comment of Kobe Altman when he said after the season, almost kind of selling the core four away. We still have the number one offense in the league this year, offensive rated league. I don't know if that means much, right, Mike? I mean, yeah, we don't. Yeah, right here. He said we had the number one offense in the Kobe Altman voice. That's what he said after the season. I don't think people really care about that, though, Mike.
No. If they would have won the championship, that would have been cool.
Yeah, I don't think that people really care about your number one offense in regular season. Where half the teams, most of the nights, aren't even really playing defense. Yeah. Anyways, don't Connect didn't deserve the disrespect you got from the Lakers this season. Yeah, I agree. Some teams are like that. John, I think the Connect thing was the Lakers trying to placate LeBron. He's not a fan of Connect from what I've heard. I think LeBron likes Connect. I think here's what happened, in my opinion. You got Luka Doncic. So I think Luka Doncic immediately changed everything. When you brought in Connect, you brought him in you drafted him when you had AD on the roster. And when AD was there, Connect was playing well. He fit the pieces they had and what they were trying to do with AD. You bring in a Luka Doncic with LeBron, now things change. Luka Doncic has to have a center, a consistent center down low he can throw lobs to when he's attacking the basket. Guys can set screen and rolls, protect the paint, right? Rebound. That's why you go out and try to get the Mark Williams guy they tried to get from Charlotte. Because I think the only way you get a Mark Williams is if you had to use an asset like Connect. I think the Lakers, they like Connect. They didn't want to give him up, but they had to do what they had to do because things change when you get Luka Doncic. So, but it obviously didn't work out, and I think it kind of messed with his confidence the rest of the year. But I think LeBron is a big fan of. He was real high praise on Connect, but I think when you get a Luka Doncic, and I think LeBron kind of stayed out of it at that point too. After that, I think that was more of the Lakers trying to win now with Luka. But that's what I think happened. He said exactly, Joe. They was trying to help Luka. Yeah, they're trying to build a team around Luka. That's what all that was. But it wasn't because Dalton wasn't good enough or Dalton was playing well. They just had to go get a center. I mean, when you acquire Luka Doncic, things change. It's like when the Browns signed Deshaun Watson, Mike, and things changed pretty drastically. So you got to operate differently.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. So this is all we very fascinating. I mean, what do you guys predict before we get out of here? I mean, drafts a week away. I mean, what do you guys think? I predict KD is still going to sign with the Rockets. I think that'll happen here pretty soon. I think that deal's just finalizing. But what do you guys see now shaking up with this happening? I mean, what do you expect to see? What's your predictions, Mike?
My only real prediction is that it's going to be a very active, overly active trade heavy draft. There are always a number of trades during the NBA draft, but I think this year is going to be unusually high with stars moving around, trades happening because Giannis is still probably on the move. Now there's LeBron smoke, KD. I think it's going to be a really exciting draft overall. That's my one prediction, is a lot of trades.
Jersey, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, one thing I could never do is get into the NBA draft. Mike, I don't agree with you on that. I've never found it exciting other than when LeBron was drafted. But maybe that's just because I love the NFL draft so much. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the hell's going to happen. I mean, obviously no one knows, but I just think it makes total sense. Everything we talked about makes total sense. I think it sells. I think it makes the most money. So yeah, I just don't see him finishing his career somewhere other than Cleveland. I've never thought that. And here's the other thing: what a better place for his son to try to learn and develop than Cleveland? Is there a better place? I mean, he's not going to get ridiculed. He's not going to get. You know what I mean? The fans are. I mean, the fandom there for Bronny. So, and then Bryce when he 2 years when he gets drafted. So, I don't know. I just remember always seeing those kids running around the arena up in the club area and shit like that, and you almost. I'd be shocked if there's not if those kids don't talk about coming back here and playing. I'd be shocked, but who knows? We don't live in that world that those guys live in, so I don't know. I think that makes the most sense though, for everybody, for the league, for the cast, for LeBron, and so we'll see though.
Excuse me.
I thought he would have been back by now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously we've been wrong. So
Well, I've always taken it year to year, which I think that's been the plan out there. But I think Jeanie Buss gave him everything he wanted out there. You know what I mean? That's why he was out there and stayed out there, because
Yeah.
she was loyal to him because he was loyal to her, and helped save that franchise when they were heading towards dormancy. And I think she always was indebted to LeBron because of that. You know, I remember the reports back in after the year after they won the championship. Uh, there was rumors, and it was real, that they were seriously considering getting rid of AD after that year, because they thought, hey man, we don't know about this guy. We already won a championship with him. You know what I mean? The injury concerns. Maybe we can use him for another piece. But LeBron was like, no, I need AD, right? So they couldn't trade him because he didn't want him to go. So Jeanie Buss said, all right, LeBron wants AD still here. We got to keep him. And then not only that, right after that was when they brought in Russell Westbrook. And we saw that played out. And we know who probably was pushing that. So, and Jeanie Buss had to pay $8 million out of her own pocket to get rid of Russell Westbrook. And she's not the richest. The Lakers are rich, a rich brand, but she wasn't a rich owner by any means. She was one of the lesser owners in terms of money. So, um, I think he's got a tough decision to make here. I think both sides have a tough decision to make. I know Ramona Shelburne, like I said, reported earlier that Jeanie Buss is still in charge and that LeBron is okay with, hey, you let people join the panel. I'd like to bring up a topic of Michael Jordan fans being the worst fans. I'll get to that in a second. Appreciate the Universe Galaxy. But back to my point, though, I think, I know the report said that she's still in charge of basketball decisions, but she's not paying the bills anymore. Mark Walter is. Mark Walter's be the one him and his group are going to decide what's going to go on from here on out. And Jeanie Buss is actually putting more of her time into that women's wrestling league out there they're trying to build up. So LeBron is going to have to make some decisions. I think the Lakers have to make some decisions. And I think it's going to depend on what LeBron wants. You know what I mean? Does he want to, number one, how do they feel about him this new ownership group? How do they feel about him, 40 years old, opted into a $53 million deal, which he could do? And how much money do they want to pay around that? Because you still have to kind of build a team around LeBron in a way. Obviously, Luka's your asset going forward. You have to build around him, but you still have a guy you're paying $53 million to next year. If he opts in, you bring him back. And you see the team as is, they're not good enough to win a championship right now as constructed. So how do they even make moves to get a center? How do they try to improve defensively? I think it's kind of like a mess. And it's funny because the Cavs, in my opinion, they're kind of in a mess too, in a way, because they're kind of in the same situation. They could run it back just like the Lakers, if the Lakers run it back with LeBron and Luka, but they're still got handicaps. You know what I mean? If the Cavs run it back with their core four, they're handicapped. I think both sides may need each other. I think all three parties involved. I think the Cavs, the Lakers, and LeBron. And that's why I think LeBron may have to seriously explore where he finishes. I think he's going to play 2 more years. I think next year's going to be the last year he really goes all in and competes for a championship. And then I think the year after that, Bryce will be draft eligible. It'll be his retirement tour season, right? The whole thing. And that'll be it. He'll sail off in the sunset. So it's going to be real interesting. But with Jeanie Buss not paying the bills anymore, I don't think LeBron has the leverage out there in LA like he's had all these 8 years out there. And we're going to see what this new ownership group, what they want to do. Obviously, Luka's their guy. He's the big prize moving forward. He's the main asset moving forward. You have to build around him. And if I'm the Cavs, you're kind of stuck. You need a leader. You need somebody to help you get over the hump. I think LeBron could do that for one season for sure. So that's where I think both sides really should have some interest in each other. And I think that's where I think this could get real interesting the next week. This move today was very significant move, not just now, but even moving forward. I think, I think that's the deal moving forward. I think the Lakers not only now, hold on, Universe Galaxy, just so I know if I should be able to wait or not. The Universe Galaxy said, "Hey, you let people join your panel? If so, I'd like to bring up the topic of Michael Jordan fans being the worst fans of all time. I'll make it interesting. I've tested it many times on my program." He said, he wants to link up here and tell him. Do you guys want him to come up here?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll drop the link. Now, please, if you're not going to come in on camera, please show yourself off camera so I know it's not a scam before I put you up here. I'm not saying you are a scam, but I'm not. I'm kind of privy to this stuff on the internet. I'm not trying to get some X-rated stuff put on my show where I get my show shut down. Yeah, that's happened to other people, unfortunately. But yeah, that's how I kind of see all of it. So it's going to get real interesting. He said, man, the Cavs get more coverage when LeBron comes back. Luka, Austin, and LeBron are offensively fire, but can't guard a traffic cone on defense. No, they cannot at all. I will say this about LeBron. His comments about ring culture are very much what today's sports are. I watch baseball way more than any other sport. And to be honest, you never saw guys like Nolan Ryan or Cal Ripken or Bob Gibson or anyone of the great players back in the day demand a trade or whine when their team sucked. Hell, Ryan played his entire career. If the Mets, Angels, Rangers, and Astros back when they were mediocre to the bad, and he never tried to get traded or get traded to chase a ring. Let's see. Shout out to Fugazi. That's a great name. Fugazi. Bus selling Lakers is crazy. If I'm LeBron, I'm leaving if they sell. Well, they sold. And so, like we've been talking about, I think all three of us agree LeBron should leave, right?
Yeah.
I think we all agree. I think he should leave regardless to come back home. Even if he wants to leave for a retirement tour and he's not, even if the championship's not the number one priority, he still should leave and come back home. I think he needs to go out where he can get the most attention and where the storyline is the best. I don't think, Fugazi, they sold to Mark Walton, who's the owner of the Dodgers, for $10 billion. Now, Jeanie Buss is still involved with the team. She'll still be running the team. But she's not paying the bills anymore. So this guy is. And that's why the guy who pays the bills, he's probably going to have the final say in a lot of things. So that's where things are going to get interesting. But I think either way, even if he wants to, if championship's not the number one priority, he still should want to come back home and finish it here with his son. Because I just don't think it's going to happen in LA. I mean, the last year in LA jersey, they didn't even sell out every game. They're not even a consistent sellout. They had some of the tickets they couldn't even do. I think somebody said, I heard today, the Warriors were selling more tickets at one point than the Lakers in their stadium.
Yeah, I think they're over it out there. You know what I mean?
I
know I would be.
And it's Luka's time now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you made that trade to get him, so you got to invest everything around him and spend a $53 million on. It just doesn't make sense for them. It's not the best thing for the Lakers for LeBron to stay there. It's just not. You gotta, and whenever somebody buys a company or there's a changeover in ownership, there's always big changes. They have their own way of doing it, and they want to get off to the races doing it the way they want. So now this guy was a minority owner since 21 with the Lakers. I read that. So I don't know. Maybe he enjoys what's been going on with the Lakers, but maybe not. Who knows if this guy actually even likes LeBron? But if you got like Luka Doncic, and you really gotta not spend $50-something million on a 40-year-old because you're not going to win. So you might as well just move on and try to make the best, make the most of your money that's going to be spent.
Yeah, I think it's for both sides. It makes sense to part ways.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense for the Cavs. I think it makes sense for the Cavs to pull the trigger too.
It does. It really does. I mean, that's what they need. They need a guy to come in and teach these guys how to win.
Yeah, and it can still play at a high level.
Right. And just the energy in that place.
Right. He said, is he a good owner? The Dodgers, they've been pretty successful. I mean, he pays. They've paid the money. They paid a crap load of money out there at the Dodgers. So I'm sure he'll be. I think him with the Lakers and that brand in LA, I think they'll be real aggressive and they'll be a real threat to the rest of the NBA. Now the new CBA kind of hinders from stacking teams like you used to be able to like 10 years ago, but still he's going to be a force out there. I think with the Lakers with his spending he has. Let's see. The Lakers' 3 best players are Luka, Reeves, Connect. How much can the Lakers get for trading him? I don't know. It depends on the team. I think the Cavs will probably just I guess like a Jared Allen, probably the main piece because I think the Lakers need a center, and the Cavs are going to give up any of the other 3 guys. So,
Right.
Reeves is not the Lakers' best young players. For we just rule. Oh, they're talking about something else. Let's see. We have somebody in the back. We'll bring him up here. Learn what they do to animals. Are you there?
Hey, I'm the guy from the chat room. I was bringing up the topic of Michael Jordan fans being the worst sports fans of all time.
Oh, sure. Have at it.
Yeah. I wasn't sure. I kind of missed some of the things you said towards the end. Just to make sure, I'm assuming you don't agree with me, right, on the actual statement?
I'm really curious to what you have to say. I wasn't born in the '90s. Jersey was. I mean, I think both.
Well,
I
I'm
think,
born in the 70s.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll put. Here's what I think there are probably obnoxious Jordan fans. I think there's obnoxious LeBron's fans. I think there are obnoxious Kobe fans. I think there's fans are fans. But I'm curious what you got to say. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. No, I appreciate it. So, in order to understand how this works, there's not one thing about them that makes them the worst. Like, I'm not saying, they buy Gatorade and don't recycle, and that makes them the worst. It's not one thing. It's a number of things that when you add it all up, there's no one that comes close to them. So, for example, I'll just give you one example at a time. Don't think this is like the end all be all. I'm just giving one at a time. ESPN does a poll, and they ask people who is the number one college basketball player of all time. Who do you think wins? Michael Jordan. You want another example?
Well, the floor is yours.
Okay. ESPN does a documentary around 1998, something like that, and they were listing the greatest athletes of the entire 20th century, 100 years. Out of all the humans who ever were an athlete in the entire 20th century, then 100 years, who do you think was number one? Michael Jordan. Another example. The number one killer instinct of all time is Michael Jordan. The number one statistics of all time is Michael Jordan. The number one scorer of all time is Michael Jordan. The number one defender of all time is Michael Jordan. Now, I could give you way more examples. I'm just trying to give you some examples. That way you don't feel like you have nothing. But I don't want you to think I'm hogging up all the time, giving you like a million examples. Just so far, based on what I've told you, have you ever heard any hockey fan, wrestling fan, baseball fan, or anything else have these type of ridiculous takes?
I mean, I've heard some. I mean, I grew up in Akron, Ohio. I know a lot. I'm a Cavs fan. I mean, I've heard a lot of crazy LeBron takes. But here's what I'll say about it. I think you made some valid points. I think a lot of the Jordan fans, for what I've come across from that era, Jordan was like an idol to them. I mean, they all wear Jordans to this day. Jordan was it. I mean, they had never really seen it. I mean, Jersey, you were around. You could speak better to me. There was never really anything seen like Michael Jordan before he came to the NBA. He was really just took over the whole league and all sports really, and I think a lot of people just hang on to that and idolize that, and that'll always be their guy no matter what. Nobody will ever be greater than them in their eyes, and that who they're attached to.
I agree with the first and last thing that you said about their idol and how no one will ever reach him. But the thing you said in between about him taking over, no one's been like him, or I know you didn't say that, you were asking the other guy about, basically him just dominating and all that. None of those things are actually true. When he first came into the league, actually in every year, he was never, ever, I know a lot of people are not going to like this, they're going to flip out, but he was never the best player factually in the NBA. He won the MVP. People thought he was the best, but people thinking things and voting on him doesn't mean he was actually better than everyone. But let's say I'm wrong. Let's say that he was the best player at least some years. He didn't just come over and take over. There's no such thing as one guy taking over.
Well, I think in terms of the off the court stuff with the shoe deals and the Michael Jordan took the Magic and Bird saved the NBA. Jordan took it to a whole nother level in terms of marketing to a global brand. And so that's what I think. I think his aura and how he was promoted and he was must-see TV for a lot of people. I mean, you saw The Last Dance. How many people that was? Everybody's tuned in to watch that. Didn't miss an episode. I think it's just Michael Jordan had a different aura about him that I think was never seen in the NBA or really in sports up to that point.
Yeah, actually,
with the off the field, or not the off field, off the court with the shoot. I mean, Michael Jordan transcended the shoe game. I mean, he changed a lot.
Well,
I mean,
no,
I think around that '92 Olympics team when they were the Dream Team, Michael Jordan might have been the most popular person on the planet at that time.
so now you said a lot of points there, so I'm not going to hog up all the time and address each one. But just to give you,
brother.
Yeah, thanks. You guys have been pretty nice and fair to me, so I want
to. We like to. I'm not debating. I mean, here you may know more. I'm just curious to your point. That's why I'm curious.
No, I appreciate it. And even if you guys weren't nice and fair, I still want to be nice and fair anyway. But you guys have been.
We're all cordial here. We're not trying to.
Yeah. So there's a lot of points to unpack here, a lot. So I'll just go over a few of them. Imagine you were a fan in Sacramento, California in 1980. Okay, and for whatever reason, you were losing interest in the NBA. For whatever reason, as they said, NBA ratings were bad, too many black players, too many drugs, and all the stuff that they come up with. Okay, and the story goes that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird came in and saved everything. Now, just think about this logically. You're a fan in Sacramento, California. You're watching the Sacramento Kings. You don't have all the games on TV. The ones that do come on, they're not all live. A lot of stuff, you're not going to play most games. You're not going to go to most games. If you were losing interest in the NBA, just think logically here. And these two guys come in, Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Why would you logically say that down in Los Angeles and all the way up in the Northeast in Boston, these two guys saved the NBA and made you get back into it? In other words, they never saved it, but the media, full of Michael Jordan fans, have been telling people that they saved the NBA, and then Michael Jordan took it to an even higher level, which he didn't. Now, what I do agree with is the shoes, the marketing, the fame. He's probably the most, not probably, I'm guessing he's the most famous basketball player of all time. But a lot of those things have nothing to do with the actual game itself. At that point, if we're going to go by shoes, we might as well go by Al Bundy.
I mean, here, when I say those two saved the league, you gotta remember, I wasn't born in the 80s, right? Were you born in the 80s?
No, I was not.
Okay, so when I say they're born in the 80s, I hear that from former players, guys like Reggie Miller, guys like Isaiah Thomas, guys like not Magic Johnson, not himself, but those guys in those era, guys like Charles Barkley. Those are the guys I hear that from, guys that were in the era, respect the guys before them, respect the game. That's why I said, because when I learned my history, because I wasn't born in that era, I go back and listen to that. That's what I hear those guys say. Those guys saved the league. And those guys they had a hell of a rivalry for that whole decade in the 80s. The Lakers and Celtics became what they became. They were already great. Obviously, they had teams in the Celtics won all those championships with Bill Russell and John Havlicek. And I feel like Bird and Magic, that rivalry with the brands, that to me made it more. And Jersey, you can speak to this because you were born in that era. You watched it live. I mean, maybe you can speak better to me.
Yeah. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was born in '77, but I think the rivalry, the finals, all the constantly playing each other in the finals. I know that's when I started watching basketball. I started hearing about it at school. I see kids wearing Lakers hats. So I said, okay, I'm going to go watch this. And I think the rivalry and the two teams, East versus West, and both teams had other great players. There was physical basketball. It was played the way it should be played. I think the rivalry, but those two teams being led by each of those guys, I think that's why people will say, okay, it kind of saved the league. Basketball prior to that was tape delay. You didn't watch basketball live. It was delayed. I can remember looking at the TV guide and seeing a game and it says delayed in parentheses. So when those guys came along and that rivalry was created, that's what started to transcend the NBA. And then obviously Michael Jordan comes in, Nike's behind him. and they just revolutionized sports entirely. Sports wasn't what it is. Was never anything like that prior to Michael Jordan. So they just found someone. Nike found someone they could get behind, and they capitalized on it. But Joseph, I've told you this. I still think Mike Tyson was the biggest athlete in the '80s, the mid '80s, late '80s, because the heavyweight champion in boxing was really the most popular athlete in the world from my memory. Mm-hmm. So it took Michael Jordan some time. He had to beat the. I don't think Michael Jordan was probably started to be called the best player till very late '80s, 90, 91. You know what I mean? He had to win. He had to beat those Pistons. I think once he beat those Pistons, that's when people started to say that. When you talk about saying, okay, he took over games, I'm kind of going to disagree with you on that, because I watched every Bulls game, and the man could literally just do what he wanted when he wanted late in the games. I mean, if he wanted to score 20 in a row, 20 points straight, he would. He'd make all of his free throws. He'd shut you down on defense. I've never, ever seen an athlete against his peers be able to do what he's done or what he did, and just do it consistently. So I think a lot of what Michael Jordan, the fame he had, and all the accolades and the people that love him, I think he earned it. But I'd be curious to ask, who do you believe is the best player that you've seen in your lifetime?
Sure. But before I get to that, I just want to address, because both of you said a lot of things, right? So for more than one reason, there's not going to be. It's not a good. It's probably not practical or enough time to get into each point. So I'll just take one from each of you. Okay. So the first guy, before you came on, the host, when you were saying how you learned it from other people like Reggie Miller and all that, there's a few things you got to consider. If we're gonna go by what people say, and say, well, this guy said this about Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird saving the NBA, and the league was going down, and then it went up, and then Michael Jordan took it to another level. If we're going to go by what people say, then you got to be consistent and go by the majority of Hall of Famers. And if you go to my page, which I'm not trying to plug, I have shown Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer saying the opposite and saying that those things are actually not true, including Jerry West, including Magic Johnson, including Larry Bird, and so on. But I don't blame you for thinking that, because, like you said, you're going to learn a lot from the media. And guess who most of the people in the media love? The majority of these people, Stephen A. Smith, Max Kellerman, Skip Bayless, and a bunch of other people, they all pick Jordan as the greatest. And the companies that Michael Jordan has, Gatorade, Nike, Hanes Underwear, and so on, they market with these companies. I know this for a fact because I used to work for some of these companies. So it's part of the whole pushing narrative of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird saved the NBA, and the NBA was going down before them, and then Michael Jordan took it to another level then. Now, if you also still say, well, what about the people who still say these things? Reggie Miller, Allen Iverson, Kevin Garnett, whoever. Then what about the majority who say the opposite? So now to the other guy, you brought up another point that I wanted to address, actually. You were saying something like you've never seen towards the end of games, like Michael Jordan basically took over. I can tell you factually, this is not my opinion, belief, guess, or assumption. There is tons of tape. I would think you'd know this since you saw every game, where towards the end of the game, he either missed free throws, missed shots, got the ball stolen, and so on. It's on tape. But let's say I'm wrong. Let's say Michael Jordan took over and he was the man. How many Hall of Famers can you name? Hall of Famers that could be stopped. It wasn't just Michael Jordan.
Jersey, maybe you answer that.
Here, no player is ever going to make 100% of their shots at all time.
Sure.
But he was late in the games. I mean, I think he was 86% for his career from the line. What he did was he drove to the basket. He'd get to the basket, and either he would make the shot or they would foul him. He'd make his free throws. So I have, in all of sports, basketball, football, everything I've ever watched, I've never seen a player able to carry his team to a victory the way Michael Jordan did. So
imagine if I said to you, I've never seen a player carry his team to victory the way Larry Bird did. What could you possibly say to that? If someone believes that and they grew up in that time and they're influenced by, they have a bias towards their players and they're influenced by the media, how do you convince that person that Michael Jordan, A, didn't do it all by himself, B, didn't always accomplish his goal, and C, other players could do exactly what Michael Jordan did, and D, that there's tape of Michael Jordan and other, Michael Jordan not coming through and other players coming through. It's exactly what I'm trying to get to is, imagine you were debating a flat earther. The flat earther really believes what he believes, and everyone else is against him, and the media is all in on it and all that. How do you convince people who have a cognitive dissonance on Michael Jordan?
Well, everything's always about opinion. You know what I mean? I can only state my opinion based on what I saw. It's all about opinion. I mean, you have some guys now to say LeBron's the best player, or Kobe Bryant's the best player, or Bill Russell was the best player. It's all opinion, but I can't make an assessment of those guys, the Russells, the Chamberlains, because I never got to see them play. I'm saying in my lifetime, he is the best basketball player I've ever seen. And what I attribute it to is, if I need a guy to win me a game, especially in the biggest games, he was the best guy.
How do you figure?
Because he was a guy more than anybody I ever saw that got it done.
But it's just not true. It's just not true.
Well, it's my opinion though.
But it's not an opinion. I'll tell you why it's not an opinion. And I'm not trying to get technical. I'm going to give you an extreme case scenario. Okay, I'm admitting it's an extreme case scenario. If I said to you, in my opinion, Nick Van Exel is the most clutch player of all time, do you see a problem with that?
No, it's your opinion.
But then that means you're saying there's no right and wrong, and there is. There's no reason to think Nick Van Exel is the most clutch player in the history of the NBA. But if someone says, no, you're wrong, then all I have to do is say what you said, which is, hey, it's just my opinion.
That's all it is.
So why is Jordan not the most clutch player in NBA?
Okay, let me try one more time. Sorry. If it's just all opinion, what if I said to you, okay, Pig Miller is the most clutch player of all time? Do you still say it's all opinion?
It's your opinion. It's someone's opinion.
Then that's not an opinion. That's a claim. And I know that sounds like I'm being technical, but the reason this is important is because if you say everything is just a matter of opinion, then you can just say whatever you want and then just say, hey guys, I'm not right or wrong. You're not right or wrong. It's just an opinion. But there is right and wrong. There's no reason to think that Pig Miller or Nick Van Exel or Michael Jordan are the most clutch players of all time.
Okay. So I would then ask you, on the flip side of this, who is the greatest basketball player in history?
Sure, but if I give you a name, will that prove who's right or wrong?
I just want to know your opinion.
No, but I still like to know. Will it prove who's right or wrong?
No, who do you think's the best player ever in your opinion? In your mind, who's the best player ever?
I'll say I'll go with I'll say it's Pig Miller or Nick Van Exel. And you can't say I'm wrong because this is my opinion.
I think you're crazy, but who do you think's the greatest player ever?
But hang on. You can't say I'm crazy because if I told you my favorite color was blue, would you say I'm crazy?
Well, let me ask you this. Give me 3 players that are better than Michael Jordan.
Sure, but then I'm trying to get you to think past that. What will that accomplish?
Well, what are you accomplishing by listing all this about Michael Jordan?
It was actually about his fans. I wanted to show how Michael Jordan fans think. And respectfully, I'm not saying this in any way, you guys are giving examples of how they think.
Well, I think that's what fandom is, though. And I actually disagree with you on the most obnoxious fans. The most obnoxious fans, and I'm one of them, is Ohio State fans. Ohio State football fans are the most obnoxious fans in the world.
But how can you disagree? It's just my opinion. You can't
I know that. But what? So
But you
what?
get my point, right? It's actually not an opinion. The reason I'm saying these things, don't think I'm being technical or dodging a question. I want you to think logically. If I'm wrong and you're right, then it's not an opinion. And if you're saying it is an opinion, then there's no reason to disagree on anything.
Well,
Because
what? Okay. Well, I would ask you this.
you
I'm
guys
saying Michael Jordan's the best player ever. You're saying he's not. So what are you basing that on?
I'm saying there's no proof he's the best. Now, what are you basing that
That
he is
there's
the
no
best?
proof. That there's no proof he's not the best.
Well, that's not how it works. There's no proof. There's
That's
no flying
exactly how it
zebra.
works.
Well, no, there's nowhere in science where it says there's no proof. There's no zebra, so therefore it could be a zebra on the
Well,
face.
then what do you default to then?
Facts.
Opinion.
No facts.
Okay. So who was better than Michael Jordan?
Factually?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Check the statistics. Have you seen all the statistics of all the players?
I'm pretty familiar.
Then you should know the answer.
So you
And
tell me.
And the reason I'm being vague, because I'm hoping you'll admit that you never actually checked all the stats, so you can't say Michael Jordan is the best.
I don't base it on stats.
Then you're not going by facts. You're going by whatever you want.
I'm not based on stats.
No, I know. And then you're not going by facts. You're going by whatever
So
you
is
want.
LeBron the greatest player of all time because he
There-
scored the
there's
most
no,
points ever?
there's no evidence he's the greatest of all time. In fact,
Well, he's the all-time leading scorer.
then you can say, is he the best scorer of all time? But if you say, is he the best player of all time? Playing is not just scoring. By the way, do you guys hear that background noise? I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. You guys hear
Yeah,
that background noise?
Dark Sage, I know you want to get a crack at this. Welcome on in. Go ahead.
Thank you. Well,
Can
here's
someone
what I
fix
want
that
to say. I
Can
go
someone fix that
by
background noise? I'm having a hard time hearing you guys.
I go by basically the era that they played in. Like somebody in here was saying, was Michael Jordan the best? In my opinion, Bill Russell is the best player ever because how many players are going to win as many championships as he did? Now, I understand back in his day, it was different times in basketball, but you're never going to see that again.
I don't agree.
I can admit to you guys that I'm much more of a baseball fanatic, and I hear this all the time in baseball. I have people try to
Your mic cut out, Dark Sage.
Check. Now the background noise is gone. It must have been him.
Can you guys hear me?
Background noise is back again.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys because I can hear echoing in the background. Like,
Give me 1 second. Let me go ahead, Dark Sage. Everybody just keep silence on the phone.
It's like how in baseball, because I'm more of a baseball fanatic. People always tell me that Nolan Ryan's the best pitcher because he struck out more guys. Okay, so you're basically trying to tell me then that what Cy Young and Grover Cleveland Alexander and Walter Johnson did doesn't count. It's
but actually, Dark
being most obnoxious fans. That's actually Notre Dame fans. I hate Notre Dame football fans. They're so insufferable because whenever they lose, it's always they got robbed. It's like I remember last year in the national title game, all I heard from Notre Dame fans was, "Oh, we got robbed because the referees don't like us." No, it's because you suck, because you don't have as good of a players as Ohio State does.
But if you want to, because I heard someone say Notre Dame fans, I heard someone bring up some other fans, Ohio State. To know who's the worst, all you have to do is just count it up. Like if you say, I found 20 things about Ohio State fans, another guy says, I found 40 things of Notre Dame fans, and then I find you a million things of Michael Jordan fans, you just add it up, and then you'll know who's the worst.
But you know what, though? I don't want to do that. That's not what sports is about to me. I don't want to add things up and look for factual evidence. I don't really care. It's all about opinion. Sports to me is a pastime, and it's just fun.
No,
you know what I mean?
I'm the one in the chat who made the comment that
part of the fun is going by the numbers and statistics. In fact,
no, it's not.
Well, that's your belief.
I know that.
But I can assure you, most fans, especially the baseball fan, he'll know this because he's a baseball fan. Baseball fans love to look at numbers and statistics, and actually, most fans in general. I'm not talking about wrestling and not too much boxing, but most fans in general, they like statistics and facts and numbers and all that.
How much do you think a front office should use statistics?
I think they use it. The 2-3 biggest things they use, based on many different things I've noticed, it's at the top of the list. It's statistics, word of mouth, and meeting the person. Analytics, by the way, are low on the totem pole, and usually Michael Jordan fans like analytics. But there's a lot of background noise. I think it's dark. I think it's your thing, man.
Dark Sage, I know you had a point you were going to make. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me? I think it's Dark having the background noise.
I had put in the chat, if you guys saw that, I'm the one who said that, in my opinion, LeBron James is one of the top 10 worst players I've ever seen play. And I have always defended this point. He's never had a real head coach him. I'm very sorry to say that to fans who love this guy. Every single head coach he's ever had was not a real head coach. It was basically all of his friends. And the point I've always bring up is he should have had Greg Popovich coach him, because Greg Popovich never would have put up with all of his whole coming in and thinking he's all that.
Check 1, check 2. Yeah, it's definitely Darks, man. When his goes out, there's no background noise.
So that was my whole argument there. That LeBron is one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life.
Oh wow, that's a Michael Jordan fan statement right there.
Yeah, I mean he is. He's absolutely. He's terrible.
I want to ask the other guy who was talking about opinions. The other guy who talked about opinions. If a guy says LeBron James is one of the worst players of all time, is that just an opinion?
That's his opinion.
Come on, man. Is everything just an opinion? You can't just say everything is an opinion. Come on.
No, is it based on statistics and championships? No.
But can I ask you, well, do you ever draw the line of what is not an opinion? Like, is everything in sports just an opinion?
No, not at all. But I don't look that far in depth into it. I love the game too much. I don't really. I try to keep sports as those when I was a kid, and so it's I don't. To me, what I base it on is Joe Montana. People would still say, obviously Tom Brady. People call Tom Brady the greatest quarterback ever. I still believe Joe Montana was better in the biggest games, which, in my opinion, that has to count for something. So I don't look at everything just based on pure statistics, because there's been lots of guys in all of sports that have had loads and loads of statistics and points or whatever, or runs or whatever it is, but they never won it. They never won anything.
But they can't win by themselves. Nobody wins by
themselves. I know, but they weren't able to propel a team to a win.
No, but it's the same thing. You're just changing the wording. You can't propel a team to win.
Sure, you can.
If that's the case, then Wilt Chamberlain should have a ring every year, and Babe Ruth should have a win every year, and anyone who dominates, Muhammad Ali should have a championship every year. And all, no matter how good you are, you cannot win a ring by yourself, or propel the team, or lead the way, or whatever.
You can lead the way.
Well, then why didn't Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time, get a ring every year?
Because he just couldn't get it done.
Then he's not the greatest of all time.
But who got it? Who got one every year?
But that's not the point. We're going by your logic. If you're saying, "Hey, look, I just go by opinions. I don't take it that seriously. I don't go by statistics. I care about things like clutch and performing and rings," then if you say this guy is the best of all time and you go by rings, then how do you explain that the best of all time did not win a ring every year?
I don't go by all rings. I just go by the path, the career path that I've seen.
No, I know. So I know
that's what I base it on. What this guy's path, what he had to go through, and what he was able to achieve, along with his teammates and a great coach.
Let me ask you. Do you expect me to believe in any sport that you like? I don't know all the sports that you like, but any sport you like, you expect me to believe that you looked into every Hall of Famers year by year season, analyzed the teams, and figured out who achieved the most with what?
You don't need to.
You don't need to.
You don't need to, but then if you come to a conclusion, you need to.
No, you don't.
Then that's just called going by whatever you like, whenever you want.
Well, that's just going by how the game of basketball.
That's it. That's what I'm getting at. But that's what I do. I go by whatever I want. That's exactly it.
No, I know, but there's no, if you're not going to go by facts, logic, reason, or consistency, what in the world are you going by?
Well, how do you, let me ask you this. How do you think teams evaluate talent?
I know.
How are
I
you
know
supposed
for-
to? Because I know people in the NBA, and I know people who are in the front office. How do you think they actually evaluate
I
players?
used to work. I used to work for the NBA. I'll tell you exactly. In fact, Jerry West will tell you the same thing. Oscar Robertson, all the higher fronts, they do three basic things. I listed this earlier. They check out statistics. They meet the player in person. They ask other people what they think. There's really no secret. It's not a
Do you
magic
remember what
formula.
Jerry West said when he saw Kobe Bryant work out?
Yeah. Do you remember what Jerry West said about who's the greatest of all time?
No, you answer my question. Do you remember what Jerry West said when he saw Kobe Bryant work out
Yeah.
against
I
other
don't have
players?
Yeah, he was being guarded by Michael Cooper. You talking about the practice session?
Yeah, he was. With his eye, he was undoubtedly the best player in that workout amongst all the other rookies. He
Right,
said.
but he didn't say that was the only thing he did.
But that was a big factor. When
I know.
evaluate talent, when players go and when guys I know, when they go and evaluate talent at the college level for the high school level to bring for college players or college coaches, they're going to look at a lot of things, how they move, their talent, what their capabilities are. They're not looking at
No, but you missed what I said. I said one of the things they do is they meet the player in person. That's what I said.
Well, yeah, everybody does that.
No, but you're saying they don't do anything else? Where are you getting this from?
No, they do. Here, I know exactly what they do. but I know guys that go through it. No guys going through it right now.
No, I know.
I'm going to see one of them Friday. But I'm just saying, there's a lot that goes into it, but a lot of it goes down to the eye test. How do you have to know how to evaluate talent? If you don't know how to evaluate talent, you're just like the Cleveland Browns, who I covered, Paul DePodesta, and your team's a shit show.
I've seen interview after interview of Hall of Fame general managers and owners. None of them have said the majority of what we do is eye talent. In fact, let's say I'm wrong. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that the majority have said it's eye talent. If that was the case,
I'm not saying the majority is eye talent. I'm saying, but that's a big piece of it. You don't. You're not going to watch what the guy does on the court.
No. But I'm agreeing with you. You're giving two answers. One is it's mostly eye talent. Then you're saying it's not other things. I'm a little confused of what you're saying.
All I'm saying, what I'm saying, because here's what I'm gonna tell you. You're striking me as somebody who uses statistics. And I could be wrong. I'm just making.
You're wrong. You're wrong. I said more than once. It's three things mostly what they do. I don't even do anything. I'm not a general manager. I'm not drafting players.
So I know. So three things is that you said. What are the three things? List them for me.
I'm saying the majority of sports, any sport, usually the three things they do is they first check out what the scouting report says. They look at the statistics. Then they go find out, let's go watch the player and all that, meet them up, see him in practice, in person. And then third, they get word of mouth from the other people. Hey, how is he? His personality and all that. There's no secret.
Well, here's where I think you missed in the scouting though. What do you mean by scouting? You said the statistics. Do you mean they just look at the scouting, just solely statistics?
No. Anything in scouting, any information a scout gives, they're going to take.
I agree with that, and I know that. I mean, I think we're on the same page. I thought you were leaving out the scouting part of it, the eye, and how to evaluate talent properly.
But I will say this though. I think based on what you've told me, you're giving too much credence to eye tests, and the reason I say that is because the majority of these scouts and general managers and owners, they're not Jerry West type of people. They're not like real experts. In fact, most of them lose their job after a short amount of time. They don't stay there for 49 years. And most of the time when they pick someone, it doesn't work out. Like there's only so many Michael Jordans you're going to find.
Oh, I agree with that. Oh, absolutely. And I agree with that. I mean, I cover football. I'm at a prestigious program here in Ohio with a lot of talent every year. But
in fact, I'm sure you know the stories. How many times have you heard a story in any sport where they say, wow, this legendary player got drafted 28th? How did all the other scouts miss him? In other words, I still think you are focusing too much on eye tests, and it's a common trend.
No, I don't think it's too much. I'm not focused too much on eye tests. I know a lot of what goes. I think you can scout a guy to the end of the day and meet him and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, and here I could say this as a Browns fan who covers the Browns. Why did the Browns not found a quarterback? Not just because they didn't scout the right ones or they didn't meet the right guy like Manziel, or a lot of because their structure's crappy. They're not in the position to develop. You have to develop your talent. And their structure has been horrific. That's why they never been able to find a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, that's I'm saying this nicely. That's what you believe. I'm sure I can find tons of people who will work in that organization, or fans, or writers, and all that, who will say, no, it's not that bad.
Well,
they can say that 'cause they want to cover their
the
ass.
proof
but I
is in the
know,
product.
yeah,
Well,
the proof is in the-
you can't. The reason you can't say proof in the product is because the number one goal of all these places, all of them, is to make money. Their main goal is not to put a winning product. If that was their main goal, then the Lakers.
I disagree with you.
Hang on. If that was their main goal, then the Lakers and Celtics would not be the majority of the finals 50% of the time. The Yankees and Dodgers, so many. There's a reason why there's only a few teams that win the ring every year. It's because other things come into play, like, for example, attendance, where a player wants to go, agents play a big role, and all that. You guys are simplifying this way too much.
No, if you've watched this show, the 300-something episodes, we always talk about how there's agendas. We always talk about how the league moves players where they want players to be. We know that.
So what's the disagreement?
And we're also staying off of
what I've said,
we know in the NFL right now.
What I said on this show a little bit ago is, I think a lot of these owners owning a sports team, it's obviously a lot of them. It's not their main source of income. They have multiple streams of income coming in and much larger companies. I think a lot of these owners, they own teams. It's more of just ego. They just want to own. They want to own a team. And a lot of these teams don't even show a profit at the end of the year. So I think a lot of them, it really is about winning because it's their ego.
You'd have to prove that to me. But let's say you're right. Okay, let's say I'm wrong. Let's say I'm wrong, and their main goal is to win. You know, when it comes to all the owners, baseball, hockey, football, basketball, whatever, rugby, cricket, soccer, whatever, I'm asking you this in a nice way. Don't think I'm being condescending. Do you expect me to believe that you researched every owner and figured out that most of them, they make money or they don't make money and their main goal is to win and all that?
No, because not all of them think that way.
Right. So when you say, for example, that, hey, a lot of them make money in other places, that's true. But when you make it seem like a lot of them make more money somewhere else or something like that, in order for you to know that, you have to actually check out every owner. And we both know you haven't done it because there's no practical way to do it.
Well, I mean, one owner we mentioned
Why
earlier.
would I ever do that?
Well, yeah, why would I? It's a waste of
Well,
time.
because the same reason you would make a statement about all owners. Why would you make that statement?
Because that's what I believe.
Okay, well then that's this is where it all comes back to what you believe. Like Denzel Washington said in the movie Training Day, it's not what you know, it's what you can prove.
Cool.
But can I ask you guys? Can I ask you, because I know you guys don't like my philosophy. What is wrong with going by proof? Like, if you don't go by proof, why try to prove anything or disprove anything? Just say, I believe there's a invisible elephant right now, and hey, it's my opinion, it's my belief. We're just doing it for fun.
Why does it bother you so much?
Well, I think if you listen to the whole tape, I think you guys are a little bit more bothered than I was. I wasn't that bothered.
No, we're not.
I'm cool.
I can assure you we're not.
I'm not bothered at all. In fact, I can give you sentences I've heard people say that I know you guys are not screaming and cussing and loud and all that, but I've heard you guys say certain things where you're questioning me like you're bothered. So if you think I'm bothered, you must be more bothered.
Oh, I'm not bothered. I'm glad you came onto the show. It's nice to have a guest, but I think you, for whatever reason, you felt the need to come. You felt the need to come on here and talk about this for whatever reason. I don't know what we said that made you want to come on here and talk about this.
See that kind of line right there. Hey man, you felt the need to come in and bring this up. Like, what is that, man? That sounds like you're bothered. You know?
Why did you not want to talk about the topic we were speaking about?
I thought it's very normal for people to ask nicely, hey, do you guys take other topics?
Oh, absolutely. I agree with you on that. But what I'm saying is, we were talking about one thing, but you wanted to come on and talk about something completely different.
And your host gave me permission and allowed it to happen. So then why don't you question him?
No, I'm just saying, why did you want to talk about this?
The same reason you bring up the topics that you want. There's no like. It's just
it's my show. I can bring whatever topic I want.
Right, exactly. But he's not questioning you. He's questioning you.
Okay, I got you. It's just something you want to talk about then. I got it.
Yeah, and by the way, if the host would have said like, hey, no, we're not interested, or he doesn't take my call, or he doesn't put me on all that, I wouldn't have took it the wrong way. I would have just been like, all right, no problem. But I just thought he has a link out. He has a program. He was nice. He gave me permission. You continue the topic. He continued the topic. No one had an issue. I just find it strange that you would ask me all of a sudden, why'd you bring it up? It sounds like you're bothered. What's going on?
I'm not bothered. Trust me.
No. It sounds. No, I'm not saying you're bothered. I think you missed what I said. But anyway, Should we get back to the topic, or you guys are not interested?
But I would say that having factual data for everything, doesn't that make life more stressful?
It sounds like for you, not for a lot of people. When you were a kid, remember you said when you were a kid, you were trying to go back to sports the way when you were a kid. You don't remember as a kid when people were checking out numbers and statistics and comparing, the facts and all that? Like, you're acting like it's not a common thing in sports fans.
No, I know it is, but I think there is.
Well,
I think there's a lot of people in sports now. I think there's a lot of people that never played sports, and I think that's what that's all they know is analytics, what they can read, and which is why you have fantasy.
No, you missed what I said earlier. I'm not into analytics, and analytics are not statistics. And see, remember when you asked me why did I bring up this talk about Michael Jordan fans? It's because of statements like this, because they say things like analytics are statistics, and they're not.
Okay. All right. Well, here, you obviously, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were two different things, but
yeah, one is statistics, one is analytics.
I don't know. I don't know what the definition of analytics is.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. If you like football, Joe Montana throws a quarterback touchdown, boom, facts. He scored 6 points. But when someone says, okay, we're going to take shot attempts and missed free throws and how many fouls they had and all that and mix it all together and come up with our own thing, that's analytics. It's a made-up, stupid formula.
Okay. So, then what I'm saying is there's a lot of people that never really got to enjoy the game by playing it. And so what they do is they just follow statistics and they make all of their assumptions or cast their opinions based on statistics, which I don't think is a good thing. I think you should have played the game. What I try to keep it simple. I don't ever want to, in football in particular, it's my favorite sport. I don't want to follow statistics. I really don't. I love the sport so much. It's just about playing the game. You know what I mean? And so I played basketball too. It's about just playing the game. And I think that the idea that I have of I can choose to believe whoever I want is the best player or my favorite player or the most dominant player, I think that's what encompasses sports. I don't think sports is about statistics.
Yeah,
there's way more byproduct out of sports than just statistics.
As a reminder, remember, I never said statistics are the only thing. As a reminder, but
I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did. But what I'm saying is why I like to keep it childlike, because it's pure. It's pure. It's fun. It's fun. It's a pastime. It's a relief from the world. So.
I think everybody has a different view of how they view sport. I mean, yours might be different than ours, obviously. What I was going to say to him, I think he forgot what I said earlier. Even when he was a kid, the majority of kids, people in junior high, high school, college, the majority of agents, general managers, referees, sports companies, and all that, the majority of them not only go by statistics, but they find it to be fun and they love it then. Now, if he's going to say statistics are not the end all be all, I agree with him. It's not the end all be all. Right.
But I don't have a problem with him not being so into statistics. That's obviously fine. And I actually respect the fact that he wants to keep it innocent and fun and childlike and all that. I have no problem with any of that. But I think he's forgetting that if you're a player, you're checking your stats in high school, in junior high, in college, in professional worlds. Agents do it. The leagues do it. In fact, a lot of their marketing and a lot of their money making comes on the numbers and box scores. Scouts do it. Owners do it. General managers do it. In fact, I rarely know any sports fan out there, regardless of their age, that is not that into statistics, unless they're like 4 years old. They don't know much about statistics.
I think everybody uses statistics at some degree, but how high of that degree? Here, I'll tell you this. In Jersey was a coach on the team. I won a national championship growing up in football. I was a starting center.
Oh, nice.
Statistics were very low in our usage. Okay. We used them. I mean, we checked, but it was not of importance. It wasn't something we talked about rarely ever.
and go find out the guy, if you had one, if he was making it to a higher level or going to the pros, you can just ask him how many times he checked it or how many times other people checked it. It's a big part of sports. If you take out the numbers, you're taking out most of sports.
And we had guys make it far. We were a pretty loaded team.
That's if you don't mind me asking, where'd you play?
Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 2012 national champs. We had guys
nice.
make it Division One. We had guys all over the place. I mean, I played with another guy who made it to the currently on the Raiders right now. I mean, I agree with you here. Yeah, statistics are they're information. I agree. You use them, you look at them.
Right.
But and maybe I got a little confused early when you came in here. I'll be honest, it kind of threw me off guard because we were talking about something else earlier, so I'm not going to lie to you.
Sports fans.
Yeah, I mean, so when that's why I realized I was kind of pushing back because I thought you were just going full statistics, but now I hear you say
no,
it's not all just about statistics. So yeah, I agree with you.
No, I don't think
when I evaluate what I talk about, I look at statistics, I look at things, but I also look at when I brought up eye tester. I'm not an all eye test guy. I'm not saying that. Yeah. I'm just saying I learned the game from people that played at a high level, and that's I use what I learned and to evaluate talent. You know what I mean? Like when I watched Michael Jordan do a 1 foot fadeaway in the corner with a guy guarding him with the long arms, that's a tough shot. I know that because I understand the type of shot he was shooting, or whatever player. You know what I mean? And I see it done consistently at a high level. That's what I view that off of.
But the problem with that is, it's not that I'm not having a problem with most of what you said, but it's not that you can't appreciate the way he plays. The problem that I'm having is when there's other players who do amazing things, and a lot of them don't even have enough tape. How do you then go, well, he was better than everyone else?
Well, here I think. I mean, he played. I think you compare him to other players. I mean, what kind of players are you talking about? Are we talking about like Randy Brown who played on his team?
I'll tell you what. Since you're a football player, I'm sure you're going to appreciate this. Whenever you try to get a player, it doesn't matter how, trade for him, sign for him, whatever, draft him, whatever. Most people will always say, give me the guy who brings the most to the table. So, like, for example, in baseball, if you got power, that's great. If you got speed, that's better. If you got stamina, that's better, and etc. So the more you bring to the table, the better you are. And I'm sure you know this since you're a sports fan. There's tons of players who could do more than Michael Jordan as an all-around player.
And maybe that's where you and I just disagree. You know what I mean? I think Michael Jordan didn't really have many flaws in his game. That's just what I think.
No, but that's different. I'm not saying he was like, he had a lot of problems. I'm saying a lot of other players also don't have a lot of flaws, and they actually bring more to the table.
I mean, I think when you're talking about the pros, it's a 2% of there's 2% of statistically, there's 2%. I know in football, 2% of the guys in college actually make it to the NFL. It's a very low percentage.
Right. I'm talking about the Hall of Fame type players, not like some guy we don't know.
Warren Sapp. Let's say I know, like, because a guy who I met. I mean, I don't live too far from the Hall of Fame. Been down there a couple of times, a lot. But I mean, here, let's say a guy like Warren Sapp. He could move and get off the ball a lot quicker than any other a lot of 3-techs in the history of the game. Could rip in the run game, could shut down the run, chase down the quarterback, his pursuit angles. I mean, his tackling abilities, his relentlessness, his mindset. Dominant player, dominant force, especially at that position when you need in the defense. I mean, there's other guys who were skilled, who are maybe just as skilled, but a lot of guys didn't put in the same effort, didn't put in the same work ethic, didn't put in the same study habits and film study.
Right.
You know what I mean? Weren't as coachable.
Let me ask you this. If you said, I saw a guy who, in my opinion, brought the most to the table, and then I found another older guy who said, young fella, you weren't alive. I saw those guys in the past and the guys you saw, and there were guys who saw more. Who do I believe?
I mean, here, I don't. Are you trying to say like the older generation always says nobody nowadays is better than their era?
In fact, what I could say that, but what I want to do, instead of saying you're right, wrong, I'm hoping you can be consistent, which means if you say, look, I saw Michael Jordan do things that I don't think a lot of other people can do, and he was the best. Okay, let's go with that. If that's the case, what do you do when you haven't seen a lot of other players? Because there's no way to see a lot of tape of them, and you weren't alive when they played. But then you find out some older people who saw those players and saw Michael Jordan and other players you saw, if they're telling you, no, you're wrong, there's other players who could do more, then why should someone respectfully, I'm asking respectfully, why would they believe you and not them?
Well, I've talked to people who think Larry Bird's the greatest player of all time.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I get that. But that's everybody's. Like he said earlier, that's their opinion. I mean, I don't. I mean, there's Michael Jordan wasn't some slouch. I mean, there's a lot of statistics to back up. I think
I can assure you. No, he wasn't a slouch, but the other guys weren't slouches, and I can assure you.
I mean, here we're talking about tremendous play. I mean, I've seen names in the chat. He'd be like Kobe and Steph Curry and LeBron, and I mean, these are tremendous players. I mean, these are world class athletes. That to me, Michael Jordan's the greatest of all time. But then in terms of his fan base, I couldn't tell you. I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I know Michael Jordan fans. You know what I mean? I got somebody coming on the show down the road who was in the Gatorade commercial with him.
Oh, wow.
Played against Albert Robinson growing up, and Albert Robinson, I'm sure you know Albert Robinson.
Yeah, the basketball player.
Yeah, Albert Robinson's from this area, was a ferocious defender, had a quadruple double in the NBA game, was drafted out of Spurs.
Ask him if you should go by rings to rank players. See what he says.
He'll tell you no.
Right, exactly. Most Hall of Famers
agree with that.
Most Hall of Famers will never go by rings. But I want to point out something that you did, and I actually agree with you. By the way, you didn't do anything wrong. When you were talking about people say Larry Bird, LeBron James, Steph Curry, and all that, you pointed out how Michael Jordan has statistics. So you did exactly what I was doing, which was saying, look, there's numbers to prove it. And I also want to point out, I can assure you, there are no numbers that will prove he's better than everyone. If you have some numbers, you win.
Yeah, and I don't think you should just prove it only by numbers. You know, I just don't think.
Then it goes back to seeing people. What do you do when you haven't seen all the players as much? Like, you can see some of them, but you're not there when they played. There's not as much tape, and there's older people who will say to you, other players were better than. So again,
and that's what makes it great. I think that's what makes the conversation fun, because if everybody thought the same, life would be boring.
Right. I don't think anybody's been here. I agree with what you're saying in that sense. It's all speculatory. I agree with that. I mean, I never really got to see Wilt Chamberlain play other than watching him on YouTube now. And the guy, I really believe he could play today. He could have played in the 90s, could have played in the early 2000s.
But if you didn't see the tape, why would you not thought that anyway?
Why would I have not thought that?
Yeah, exactly. I haven't never seen Babe Ruth play one game from start to finish, but I have no reason to think he can't hit a home run today.
Well, I don't have any reason to believe that he could hit a home run.
I guess some people. I'm not pushed. I guess
there's lots of reasons.
You know, I'm just saying it's all speculatory. I agree with what you're saying.
How would you feel if 40 years from now, let's say, I hope you live a long life. I hope you live to at least 100. Let's say 100 years from now you're gone, and some young guy in the year 3000 came up and said, you know, I have no reason to think that Michael Jordan can play in the year 3000. You would know that's silly, right?
Well, here, it would depend on the type of players 40 years from now. How much bigger are they? How much faster are they? I mean,
humans don't evolve that much in a few years.
Here, I'll say, yeah. I mean,
are you kidding me?
No, they don't. I'm telling you, they actually don't. Like 10 years from now, it's not going to be that different. 10 years ago was not.
You said 40 years.
No, actually, I said 100. Actually, I didn't even say that. I said I hope you live to 100, but I changed after 40. I changed it. The humans are not going to be that different, and there's proof of this. I'll show you the proof. Go look at baseball numbers from the 1920s and go look at them now. Go look at the height, weight, and length of players. And a lot of Michael Jordan fans will tell you, they're a bunch of white boys. The average height was 6'6".
But isn't our batting averages down right now than they were 10 years ago?
If that's true, which I've heard people say that,
they are. I know they are, and I know why they are.
If that's true,
I train baseball players. I think a lot of it's just how they're being taught now.
That's part of it, but there's other factors. You got the number of the mound inches, the ballparks. You got a lot of shit they're putting in their body. Sorry for the cuss. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh, you're good.
A lot of factors, but even if that's true, you can't say it's an evolution thing. There's different reasons why humans do different things. But how about this? Just simplify it. If a guy in the 1930s played baseball and he was 6'4" and could run the 40 in 3 seconds and he had power and skills, why would that same human being come today and say, "Oh my God, I can't even hold a baseball bat and hit it out the park"?
Well, how fast were the pitches back then?
Well, Mickey Mantle, according to he said. Oh, pitches? I was going to give you speed. Mickey Mantle said he could run from home plate to first on the left side in about 3.3 seconds, faster than anyone in the league, faster than Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, I know that, but how's he going to get on base? Is what
Exactly.
I'm saying. How fast were the pitches back then? I don't know. How fast were the pitches? I'm asking. Were the pitching? Because I know I played baseball and learned from Jim Gleisner, who was a former pro, and some other guys. A lot of hitting is timing. You know what I mean? You adjusting the pitches, reading, but timing's a lot of it because pitchers are throwing pretty fast nowadays. I mean, we saw a kid last week at high school throwing 100 miles an hour now, which is, I mean, that's crazy at high school. But
yeah, obviously, if you go back to the 1600s, 1700s, when baseball was not even called baseball, you can't even compare it because the distance from home to the mound was different. So the only thing you can do is compare things that are the same. So if you go back in time to 1949, for example, 1947, it wasn't that different.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way, these guys nowadays, they got so much more training growing up. Their arms can get stronger early on. Although I think it could be a disadvantage in terms of injuries. Though I've seen a lot of guys get Tommy John too early.
Yeah,
now
that's a great point.
Curveballs,
that's a great point. Dominique Wilkins actually said something that you said. Like, people are always saying how today's players are these super athletes, and he was saying, well, if you notice, a lot of them get injured, and it's not because they're not good athletes. A human is a human. If you've got the strength, you got the strength no matter what the year is. But he said
it's bad preparation.
The way preparation can be part of it, but the way they play, they're making these off-balance moves. They're falling down the wrong way. They get hurt a lot easier. That doesn't mean that players in the past were better or today's players are better. It just means other factors come into play. But the problem is when casual fans just look at tape. Oh, look, this guy got injured. Oh, look, that guy is white. Oh, that guy is 6'4", and so on. They're just simplifying it. They're not taking into consideration.
Well, they don't know. They don't understand. Like, here, in terms of like the injury part of things, I had a world-class trainer, Johnny LeGrere, trained Butch Reynolds on my show 3 weeks ago. And he's been around a long time, still trains athletes today, has a lot of guys in pros, like I said, trained Butch Reynolds. And, a lot of the injuries and stuff nowadays in prevention, these guys got all this, they have all the stuff available to them now more than ever. They fly first-class planes, right? Back in the day, they didn't fly first class. They flew commercial. They got all the science available to them now. This is what you should eat. Back in the day, guys were eating cheeseburgers and fries for games and going out and playing. Or in the 80s, guys are drinking beer at halftime and smoking cigarettes. So
there's something you should know, man. There's something you should know. And I think I don't know how old you are, but I think you're old enough based on what you told me. All the things they say about hot dog eaters and plumbers and they're smoking cigars and the booze, these things happen today. They smoke weed. They go to strip clubs.
Oh, I agree with that. Oh, dude, I know all these guys. But I'm saying, guys aren't smoking cigarettes during the games or drinking beer like they used to back then.
But most of the players back then, you couldn't even do that in a game. It was against the rules, and you wouldn't sell tickets, and it would look bad and all that. Most people didn't see.
What I'm saying now is when these guys go to these teams have chefs now. You know what I mean? They got prep food for them. They got all this stuff now. Everybody's got a dietitian now, team nutritionist, and all this. That didn't happen back in the day. Guys back in the day, they just went out and played. You know what I mean?
No, they still want to play today too. But there's other factors you got to consider. Let's say I'm wrong. Let's say it was just straight up harder back in the day, which it was. I'm agreeing with you. And guys have it easier today. I'm agreeing with that. Then there's other factors. So, for example, let's say the guy today got the airplane. He's got the nutrition. He's got the assistants and all that. He's got new problems. For example, there was an article written, I think by the NBA or some other place, how players today have a hard time sleeping. And the reasons for this is because they're always in hotels. They're not with their families more than ever. They're having all these cameras on them and all that. My point that I'm trying to make to you is there's a give and take. So you can find good things about today and the past, but you can find problems with today and the past. So, for example, in the past, they couldn't go to different teams. They had to stay in one team. They couldn't move as much. They could leave once in a while, but they couldn't move as much. Now, the problem with that is if you got to stay with a team you don't like in a city that you don't like, you know what problems you're going to get from that, right?
Sure.
Right. So it's a give and take. What I'm trying to say to you is there's no such thing as everyone in the past is one way and everyone today is one way. All I'm saying is it's the same humans doing pretty much the same things.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I think the difference, like my whole point is, the difference between today is just, like for instance with baseball. When I played 10 years ago, it was taught a little differently than it's taught now. And I think the fundamentals of hitting is the reason why you're seeing a lot of the hitting, the numbers going down. Where 10 years ago, if a guy batted 189, that was considered not great. I mean, it wasn't. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. Now at 189, I hear him like, we got to get this guy. We got to trade for him. So
I'm very surprised you're saying that because 10 years ago, they were saying the same things. In 2000, they were saying the same things. In the 90s, they were saying the same things and so on. It's just history repeats itself, man. In other words, when you were a kid, I'm sure.
Well, and I think, too, everybody thinks their era is the greatest.
Exactly. Right. You hit the nail right on the Gatorade.
Yeah, and I agree
Well,
with that.
no, well, nobody's
But
disputing that.
Yeah, and I'm not disputing that, but I'm saying that I'm just saying I know just there's like when I watch these kids in youth baseball now, and I go to a lot of games now because I'm actually going to get back into coaching baseball in the fall, and I'm getting back into it. The way I was taught and how a lot of people were taught, the basic fundamentals of hitting that I saw as it was youth baseball, for example. When I watch these kids, the way how they're being coached now, in a majority from what I see, it's horrific. And I think it's reflecting all the way up into the majors now because whatever's happened in the last 10 years, it's gotten bad. I do think, to me, that's a factor. The way these.
Let me ask you. When someone says, I'm not saying you said these things exactly. Just hear me out on this. When someone says they don't teach fundamentals the way they do, or they care more about this than they used to, or they don't put the same effort and all that. When any of these lines, can you name me a year in sports where people never said that?
I think it happens every year, but I'm going to a youth level because I'm around these kids at the high school level every day, and I see these kids. I'll tell you, I could bring up 20 coaches up here right now that all coach at a high level, all the way up in the pros. I could bring up Coach Regret again, and he'll tell you he can't get kids to show up for track practice like they used to.
I can find.
And when these kids don't go to practice and they go out and try to run, they get hurt because they're not prepared.
And not only were coaches saying those things for 20, 30, 40 years and so on, but I can't guarantee these to you. I know I'm someone who goes by facts, so now I'm going to admit I'm not going to go by fact. I'm going to bet that in 10 years, 20 years from now, they're going to say the same things.
Well, is it a fact that the world's a more dangerous place now than it was 10 years ago?
There's no fact to prove that now.
Okay.
But it depends who you ask. Some coaches
That's
teach
the whole point.
So exactly. So some coaches, I will admit, some coaches teach right and some coaches teach wrong. But I hope you consider, no matter what year you go to, some coaches teach right and some coaches teach wrong. In order for you to know that this is a fundamental thing happening throughout coaching, you'd have to study all the coaching and all the sports, and there's no practical way.
Here, I tell you, AAU basketball wasn't as prevalent as it is now 20 years ago. I mean, it was prevalent, but it wasn't. AAU basketball now has become like everything for these kids growing up in basketball. But you know what the one problem I have with AAU is not only do a lot of these kids hop around teams and stuff and just show. I mean, I know a kid that just showed up at a team this year and last minute just played in their team without knowing any of the players and just went out there and played with them. These teams, they don't practice. My whole point is, guys back in the day, yeah, I mean, all that stuff was different. The guys said this, but one thing was prevalent throughout all those years that I saw is players practice more. They don't practice. The Cavaliers this year, I covered, they didn't practice for 2 months in the middle of the season.
I know you're not disputing this, but I think you're not elevating this enough, which is coaches and owners and general managers and so on have been complaining about young players not practicing as hard as they did for years and years and decades and decades.
But I could give you, a player who they didn't have to worry about that with. Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan,
I'm joking. Allen Iverson complained about practice. Come on, I thought you would know that.
Well, he did, but AI was my gosh, my man. That guy, he was so good.
Why would Michael Jordan have to complain? Because he got to do something better. He got to take time off more than once, just retire and take a break.
Yeah, and I think why he retired is, I think something none of us will ever know. I think just the.
Oh no, he said one of the reasons. Don't quote me, fellas. I don't have the exact words, but he basically said the first time he retired. Yeah, thanks. The first time he retired, one of the main reasons he retired was, get ready, he said he was burnt out. The second time he retired, he basically said, he was asked, "Are you feeling as hungry as you used to?" He said, "No, you feel yourself getting full. We're not as hungry. We're older. We got injuries. We've already won." So,
and I think he was burnt out too. I mean, his dad passed away. Obviously, how close he was with his dad.
How about the second time?
Well, I mean, the second time, I don't know. I mean, here we saw that whole. I mean, I think he had such a loyalty to the Bulls organization, and he played so many years there, and I think he just kind of.
Well, that's not what he's saying. He's not. He's saying factually, basically. I'm not saying this was the only reason. Like you said, we don't know. I'm not in his head. I'm sure.
just saying, based on what I saw, like when they showed in the documentary in The Last Dance, how they portrayed it. Like I think the first time, I think he got burnt out for many factors. I think his dad, because of his dad passing away, was obviously a big adjustment. But I think just the attention and the day to day, just life. I mean, he said many times back then that, everybody says they want to be Michael Jordan, but he basically said Michael Jordan's not. You don't want to live this life. It's not the life for everybody. Like,
and so what I'm saying to you is, it's easy for people to say back then, look at how they acted with practice and toughness and willing to win and all that. Because if you can take a break twice, that helps you. If you can't take a break, you're going to get tired and slow down and get frustrated and all that.
Yeah, I mean, here my own thing with practice is, I'll tell you from my own experience. 10 years ago, if I missed practice, you knew you had hell to pay from your coach.
Jerry West basically said he didn't like practice.
Nobody likes practice, but you knew you had to do it. You had an obligation to your teammates and to your coaches and it was your responsibility to show up every day and perform.
That's disputable. That's disputable.
Well, I mean, you have to show up. And if you don't, if I didn't go to practice, if when we won a national championship, as a starting center, if I didn't show up to practice every day, worked my ass off and gave my obligation to the team. There was many days I didn't want to go, but I had to go, and I had to go out there and do my best. But it paid off in the end because we got the reward.
Football's a little bit different because you're not playing a game every day, and if you're not playing a game, you got to really make sure you're practicing. With like baseball, you're playing like 6 out of 7 days a week. We
played in tournaments in football. We played 4 games in one day before. I mean,
but usually you don't play 4 football games a week.
But even in the NBA, you still have an obligation to do your job. You're paid to go out there and perform.
Actually, when you pay people $100 million, if you say to them, I want you to go practice and take a risk of getting injured or getting frustrated, that's a bad investment for $100 million. They purposely don't let them practice. It's part of the contract sometimes where they say you don't have to practice. That's actually not something.
I don't think I'm turning to high schoolers. The stuff I see at the high school level now, where it's enabled, where kids aren't, and I think a lot because kids aren't in fear of being disciplined anymore. It's a lot more lax now. Kids know they can skip practice because they don't want to go to practice, and usually those kids end up getting hurt, or they don't pan out to be the players they could be with the talent they have. You have to go to practice. You have to go work on your craft. You have to go perform. You have to show up, and that's my whole point. Is these kids nowadays, they don't feel the obligation to show up to practice. They don't feel the obligation because there's no consequence for it anymore. Because the coaching staff, a lot of these coaches, a lot of this older generation, they've enabled that. They've allowed that to happen.
And by the way, who are those people? Are from those tougher generations. Why are those people who you say did all those things? Why are they allowing it? They're the ones in charge.
I think there's a lot of those guys can't coach like they used to. Bob Knight couldn't exist in today's era.
Oh, sure he could. No, sure he could.
Well, he was a little more. He would be culturally. They would say he's too politically.
And he would say, "Line up and kiss my ass."
He would, but there's also called administrators too.
They wouldn't allow Bob Knight to.
Administrators would never allow it because
there's tons of coaches out there who are jerks. There's tons of coaches who are jerks. We just never heard of them. Now, I want to be fair to you. I have no proof that Bob Knight would or would not be here. So maybe you're right. Maybe Bob Knight wouldn't be allowed. But all I know is this: he coached in recent times. It wasn't like it was the 1800s. And I know there's lots of coaches who are jerks. So when I put those things together, I know there's no reason to think he can't.
Here, Bob Knight, the basketball mind, could coach in it. Yeah, absolutely. He was one of the best basketball minds ever. But his style of coaching is not accepted in today's society.
I have no reason to believe otherwise. But let's say you're right. Let's say that these things are happening.
I know because I know. I mean, I can give you a list of guys. I mean, I know. Look at there's coaches losing their jobs for doing the type of things.
But that's not
because the schools don't want it to happen.
No, but that's not a new thing. They've always fired coaches for right or wrong reasons.
But now that the line is the margin of error and the line these coaches have is very, very thin.
Well, it's always
and now with NIL, well, the NIL's changed a lot of things because now if I tell a player, hey man, you're not playing next year, or you scare a kid away, or you go hard on them too much, they'll just threaten to leave and get into the
and that's not a new thing. You ever see Hoosiers? Remember the main guy who didn't want to play? That's not a new thing, man.
Yeah, but these guys nowadays, the college football alone, the transfer portal. I know guys in college football right now. I know a lot of guys getting out of it because they don't want to deal with the headache.
Football is always a little bit different because it's such a violent sport. So some people
It
are
is.
just like.
But my whole point is it's prevalent. I think my whole point is in all sports and just the culture in general, it's becoming a new attitude. It's a new norm, and I don't think it's good.
So you're doing the back in my day routine.
No, it's not back in my day. It's just. It's what I see. It's what I.
I promise you, man. 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago,
20 other coaches that have won multiple championships that would say the same thing. They bitch about it to me all the time.
But hang on, what I was going to say was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and so on. People were saying the same things. There's no difference.
Let me ask you this: do you believe that there's been a moral decline in the United States in the last 70 years?
It's not a yes or no answer. It depends.
Okay.
Now, if I listen to Sean Hannity, then I guess it's all going down the drain.
Is the divorce rate much higher than it was 70 years ago?
I'm guessing it is.
There you go.
Okay, what does that prove?
As the moral decline goes, so does everything else. So,
can I ask you, are you a morally perfect person?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so then if you're not morally perfect and you know other humans are not morally perfect, what's the point of saying these humans are going down?
Because as there's moral degradation, everything else goes along with it. Sports and how parenting, coaching, you can't say that it's the same as it was.
But I'm not saying that. If you want to say to me that a lot of things getting worse, I would agree with you. But if you say everything goes down, well, you're just making things up or assuming things. For example, let's say that basketball and coaching was going down. I've heard people say how the ratings are down and people are not interested. It's terrible basketball and all that. You know, the NBA makes the most money it's ever made. I'll give you another example, baseball. People have been shitting on baseball for years. It's slow, it's boring, nobody cares and all that. You know, they make the second most money out of all the professional leagues in the world. Only NFL beats them.
Do you think the NBA growing globally has helped with that?
Oh, what do you mean?
Well, I mean, they're talking about putting a team in London. Their global audience is as big as it's ever been.
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. Adam Silver was on Dan. You know Dan Patrick, guy who used to work at ESPN?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he just interviewed Adam Silver. I'm actually, it's a really good question. He was basically asked, do you want to have a new, more teams to your league? He was saying, we're talking about Mexico City and all that. But here's what he said. He said, don't quote me, I don't have the exact words, but he said something like, we already make billions of dollars. And when you add more teams, you have to ask the question, how much more is it going to really help us financially? And can it hurt us more? And he said, since we make this much money anyway, and we know adding more teams is probably not going to make that much of a difference to make more money, but we know it can hurt us because adding more teams makes the league, takes away the competition. You add more spots, you don't have the best of the best.
I do think they are going to expand to Vegas and Seattle.
Well, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. But
I'll disagree with that. I mean, I know he's going to say that now, but I'll be certain. I'll bet they'll be in Seattle and Vegas.
No, you could be right. No, he did say it's possible, but if you listen to that interview, I hope you find it's only like a couple weeks ago or so. He basically made it seem like, yeah, it's possible we'll get a Vegas team or somewhere. He didn't name a city. It's possible we'll get another team. If he named a city, I don't remember. But anyway, he made it seem like it's possible they'll get a team. Okay, possible, but it's probably not going to happen anytime soon.
I'm not saying when it's I'm saying it will happen. And I think LeBron's already put out in articles from Woj, but he wants dibs on that Vegas team. KD wants dibs on that Seattle team. I think Nike's and them are a little bit of cahoots on it, from what I've heard. But
I don't know how they're going to get past the players' union. I don't know how the other owners are going to be okay with it. I don't know how they're going to make more money. And then what about the topic about adding more teams makes the league less competitive?
Well, I just telling you what I know. I think it's pretty. I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. That's all I'm saying.
I think you could be right. Yeah, you could be right.
And it's not just me saying it. I mean, there's other people that are a lot more plugged in than I'll ever be.
Oh no. If we're not talking about people who work in the NBA and are connected, those are just people writing articles. I would not.
From people in the NBA.
Well, Adam Silver is the leader of the NBA. And most NBA
Well,
teams
here
don't
Adam
want to-
Silver is also very smart in what he puts out, what he doesn't put out. He's
Sure,
not going to
sure.
tell you. He's not going to tell you the truth all the time.
No, but then I could say the same thing about the places you're getting information from. They're doing it for whatever reason they're doing it. They're getting it hits, ratings, money, or whatever. And most NBA owners,
I would
don't
say if you want to know information, go to the agent community first. They know everything.
most agents have no role at all about getting a new team to a new city. Even if they did, they have to get the city's permission. The city is not going to say, "Let me listen to your agent." It doesn't work like that.
No. I'm not saying listen to the agent. I'm just saying I'm not even talking about the moving the team. That's probably more the owners.
No,
I'm
getting a
saying
new team.
if you want to get information about player movement, you know what I mean. So then you always go to the agent community first.
I'm surprised you said that, man. Some agents will tell you about the guys they know, but most of the time, when an article wants to be out there, it's because somebody purposely put it out there for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and everything's calculated. But I'm telling you, agents know everything. Like you can go. I know. Well, they do, but I'm just. A lot of the reporters you see, Woj, all those guys, they get their information from.
No. You know what they do with those guys? I'm actually surprised people just like put those guys on the top of the hill. They sign a guy and say you'll be our guy to break the lead stories.
I agree with that.
As if he's in a cave and he goes, hey guys, I got all the secret information. Sign me and I'll give it to you. Where's he getting
he's the guy they
information
funnel
from?
it to.
Exactly.
I agree with that, but I'm saying though, I know from prominent journalists, people who have been in the industry for a long time, that they get a lot of information from agents. Like that, and that doesn't mean that all pans out to be. I'm just saying it's in terms of like, hey, I'm hearing so and so is interested in this team, or this move could be. This is, you know, what I mean, now some stuff they won't report because until they get confirmation on it. Like you can't be reckless, obviously, but some people are. But that's all I'm saying is you can find out a lot of information about a lot of things through like the agent community.
No, I agree. No, I agree with you. You
when
can
it comes
find
to
a lot.
expanding the league, you go ask owners. I mean, I think other corporations know, like Nike.
I'm
all this.
No, I agree with you. You can get a lot of information from agents, but you can get a lot more information from the CEO of the NBA and other owners in the NBA.
Well, I agree, but I don't think they're ever going to tell you the truth.
No, they will, because actually owners, their main goal is to make money. So if they're in, I'll give you an example. If you're the owner of the Lakers,
to keep you on the ropes, they got you tuned in.
Say it again.
Oh, I'm saying they're never going to tell you because, like, it's like right now, why we're doing the show today about the topic at hand. What's LeBron going to do? Right. That's it.
Right. I agree.
They want people to tune in and keep everything. They want to prolong the excitement and with the.
I'm agreeing, but everything you're saying, I'm with you. But if you're going to say these guys are not going to tell you things, but these guys are more reliable, that's just not true.
Well, I think the guys you're talking about that won't tell you, that I'm saying won't tell you things, I think they tell those guys what they want out there.
Okay. How do you know?
From people I know. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Well, most of the owners, their main goal is to make money. So if they have a team that's nearby, it's going to take away from their money. So they're not going to approve it. One of the reasons it's hard to get a new franchise is because owners don't want it. Then, of course, you have city problems, regulations, and all that. I think you're giving way too much credence to agents.
I'm not giving it that. In terms of the expanding thing, I'm not talking about. That's not from agents. That's not from agents, but that is from corporations like Nike. And
Nike plays hardly any role if Seattle's going to get a new team.
Nike plays a pretty big factor in a lot of things in the NBA.
How do you know? How do you know this?
The money.
Money, the power, the influence.
But what's their influence? The NBA can make money through Nike and a bunch of other places. Why would they put Nike to the top of the list for a new team?
Nike's helped out the NBA a lot.
And the NBA has helped them out a lot more.
Well,
I disagree with that.
Yeah,
well, the money's the. I know you don't like this, man, but the numbers say otherwise. If the NBA lost Nike or the Nike lost the NBA, just ask yourself who would get hurt more. The NBA will be fine without Nike. Nike will take a hit without the NBA.
But there's a reason why the NBA left Adidas to go to Nike.
What's the reason?
Because it made them more money.
And they could have still made a lot of money without Nike. If they said Nike today,
why
leave
did
me
they
alone. Well, no, of course they want to make money. That's not. I'm not disputing.
Yeah, but
that.
why did they leave Adidas and go? Why did they just re-sign with Adidas?
No, I'm assuming it's because of money. I'm assuming it's money. But you're missing my point. I'm saying to you, who needs who more? You're telling me the NBA needs a company more than the company needs them?
I think they help each other out, but yeah, they need Nike. They need Nike.
I don't know. I have no reason to believe that. There's no evidence for any
LeBron
company.
James signed his first contract with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The
Yeah,
NBA,
but that's LeBron James. That's not the.
He has a lifetime contract with Nike.
Yeah, but that doesn't prove.
NBA's biggest asset for the last probably 10 years, 15 years has been LeBron James.
No, you can go find out. They show the reports every few months. They show you where they make the most money. Nike is not even near the top.
I'm just saying, if you don't think Nike's a big player in the NBA, I think
that's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Well, I think they are, and I think that I hear my whole point is that's a whole other debate, but that I don't think is really worth having. But they're going to move to Seattle and they're going to move to Vegas. I'm pretty certain about that.
That could happen, but I have no reason to think that Nike's going to play.
And I think there's LeBron James isn't an idiot, and I think there's a reason he knows what's coming. And there's a reason why he's already put out there he wants dibs on that Vegas team.
Let me ask you this: if Nike played a big role, as you say, for whatever reason, getting a new team, making a team locate, or any other reason, why haven't they done it so far? Because Nike would love it.
Because there's a lot of logistics to go into. You got to prove it in the city. You got to. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. It doesn't just happen overnight.
Right. So then that's my point. That's my point.
It's still something when they want it done. It's gonna get done at some point.
Right. Who's they? It's not Nike.
I think Nike, the league, all the upper hands that run the NBA.
I mean, this is to the other college.
Whoever's involved in the business, it's good for their business.
Right. Well, that's not exactly true either. If they wanted to really make money, they would go all around the world, having teams all over the world. But it's like I told you, Adam Silver brought it up. No, but a lot of people would say this: adding new teams doesn't mean you're going to make a lot of money. It actually can hurt you because if you make, let's say you were the king of the NBA, imagine you controlled everything and you made $49 billion. And I said to you, hey, let's add 2 more teams. How much money do you think those teams will get you? And then can it hurt you? You got to look at the pros and cons.
Well, it depends how you set those teams up. I mean, what if you put LeBron in Vegas? How does that help that team get off to a boost?
Right, exactly. So Nike plays no role for a new team, new franchise. Role.
When it comes to LeBron going to Vegas, they play some role.
No, they play a role in terms of helping LeBron sign with who he wants and making some side money, but that's LeBron James. That's not the whole league.
That's a big factor in a lot of it.
No, that's LeBron James. That's LeBron,
he's
not the whole
draw
league.
In the league. He draws the NBA a lot of revenue.
No, I know he does, but so do other people. And he's getting older, so I don't think they want to put
his son generate $50 million his first week in LA because 150,000 jerseys being sold in 1 week.
He's making so much money that the Lakers said we're going to sell the team.
Well, I don't think that's exactly why the Lakers sold.
Exactly. No, that's what I'm saying. The players are pawns. They don't play that big of a role. The owners are the pocketbooks. They make the decisions.
Well, I know, but I'm saying your players are your most valuable assets. That's your product.
That's true, and that's what I'm saying. When they have a new team, they don't say, "Let's see what Nike thinks," because Nike's going to want a team in every city. Nike will say,
I'm not saying they ask Nike what they think, but Nike may have a suggestion of what they should do, and I think they'll heavily listen to it.
So, for example, can you name one city? Just give me one. You don't have to name a bunch. Where would Nike say in any major city, not like some small hick town, any major city where Nike will say, "We don't want a team there"? They're going to want a team in every major city.
Yeah, it's good for business for both sides.
Right. So but the NBA is not going to say, okay, let's see what Nike thinks about where to go, because they know Nike wants to go everywhere.
And I think the NBA wants to go everywhere. That's why I'm not surprised by their expanding.
No, the NBA does not want to go everywhere. If they did, they would have done that by now.
No, I'm not saying every town like they want to go to Timbuktu in the middle of West Virginia, but I'm saying I think a place like Vegas is a place they definitely want to go. The NFL's already made it there.
Maybe.
I think bringing back Seattle. We saw Seattle before. That's a pretty good fan base up there.
Maybe.
They're going to bring that back.
Oh, so let me ask you this. You know, if they go to Vegas, for example, they're going to make money. There's no doubt they're going to make money.
Absolutely.
So if it's so obvious, which we agree, they're going to make money.
Yeah.
And the city knows that, and the franchise knows it, and Nike knows it, and so on. Why haven't they done it?
Because I think, I'd tell you in Seattle, it took a while I know they're trying to get everything approved.
No, but everyone knows Nike's going to make money. Seattle's going to make money. They're going to create jobs and so on. Why haven't they done it? In fact, actually, let me give you a better question. Why are there only like 30 teams? That's like nothing compared to how many cities there are.
Here, I can tell you this. The Cleveland Browns are trying to get a bigger stadium, right? It would generate more money. They can have Super Bowls here. They can host a lot of things here. But there's other people in the city that don't want them to leave because they feel like their town will lose money, and there's people in the state now trying to stop it from happening.
But you and I both know if they're going to make money, they're going to make money. So there's no such thing as we're going to lose money. Everyone knows they have a good idea how many jobs are create and how much money they're
The
going to make.
mayor's on TV saying it's a bad thing for the city of Cleveland.
Exactly, and that's my point. It's not about Nike and money and all that. There's going to be other factors.
I know. I agree with you. I'm saying Nike is a factor. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying they're not a factor at all. But if you got some evidence, man, I'll go with it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Nike plays a bigger role to going to Seattle. I don't know. Do you have some evidence for that?
Well, when their brand slapped on everything, I think they play a role for sure.
Yeah, no. They Adidas, Nike, Reebok, Hanes underwear, Gatorade, Walmart, all these places play a role.
Yeah, what's the main logo on every single jersey?
Because of Michael Jordan. It's not Nike, it's Michael Jordan. His name, his Air Jordan brand is what makes them the money. If that was not the case, why would they pick Nike? Especially, young kids today are not even as into Nike as they used to be. When you were growing up, Nike was the ish. Now it's not as big as it used to be.
Well, no, what I'm saying is when you look at every uniform, what logo does it have on? What's the NBA sponsor?
Right, I know, but I'm saying to you, if that's
I'm not saying they're at the biggest influence, but they have some influence. And I think if people think otherwise, I think they're a little naive.
I mean, I hate to say this, man, but if you don't show the proof and you ignore all the information, you're being naive on this.
You can't show the proof sometimes because I could sit here all night and you probably still wouldn't believe it.
But no, what you can do is you can look at the evidence. There's only 29 or 30 teams. Every big city wants a team. They're going to make money. If Nike is the top dog over all the Walmarts and Gatorades and Hanes underwear and all the other companies, why haven't they done it? They barely have any teams in the whole America.
In my opinion, I think they're a heavy influence just from things.
We can always say opinion. There you go. Our opinion, I guess.
Well, let me ask, what did you eat today?
I drank Gatorade and I watched some Space Jam.
What did you eat today?
I don't remember. I have to think back. Where are you going with this?
What did you eat? Did you eat fast food today?
No, hell no.
Okay, good. Do you eat fast food?
I try not to.
When you do eat it, you shouldn't eat it.
I know that, man. Yeah.
Right. That's right.
I don't know where you're going with this, but okay.
All I'm saying is, here, they're a factor, but I could sit here and show you why I could sit here and tell you why I think that, but I probably shouldn't say that publicly because it's probably a little inappropriate and maybe not in this setting.
No, go ahead. I'm listening.
If I tell you, hey, you probably shouldn't eat fast food, but we're still going to go eat it anyway.
No, that's fine, but that's not a problem. I don't say Nike doesn't make money. They don't help the NBA. They don't people don't like Nike and all that. I'm saying getting a team to a city has nothing to do with the shoe company. But if I'm wrong, if you're right, and the shoe company, Nike out of all the other shoe companies and all the other companies out there, they're not shoe companies. If they're playing the biggest role, why are there hardly any teams in America in most of the cities? For professional teams. Baseball, basketball, hockey, football, there's hardly any teams when you compare it to all the major cities in America. Because if it was up to Nike, they would want them all over in America.
Were you going to say something, Jersey?
No.
Michael Jordan fans are the worst sports fans of all time. No? That was a joke. Never mind.
No. Ohio State fans.
Well, you could easily figure it out, man, but if you're not going to go by facts, then never mind, By the way, there was a person in the chat room. They wrote something like football is not a violent sport. I was surprised by that. You guys agree with that?
It's a violent sport, but I don't think it's what it's been made out how violent the media tried to make it out to be. I mean, I don't think these guardian caps are helping out by any means. I actually think it's giving players a false sense of how to tackle.
But you might have 10 people that think it's violent. You might have 10 people that think it's not.
I mean, it's pretty obvious if you look at the definition of violent. That's a violent sport. If risking your life and risking injury is not violent, then what is for a sport?
That's
people said basketball in the 80s was violent too.
No, it wasn't. But you know who agrees with you, by the way? You know who agrees with you that it was violent?
I don't see any bad boy Pistons in today's game.
There was hardly anyone who played like that. The Pistons didn't play like that for every play, but the media shows you the same stupid highlights over and over, and then a bunch of Michael Jordan fans just go, look, Kevin McHale clothesline Kurt Rambis. That's how it was every play.
But I don't even see that one play now.
Right. That's because it's not basketball. That's not even physical basketball. That's bully ball. That's just hitting someone. That's not even a
Yeah, it
sport.
was
That's
more
just,
violent back then.
no, it's illegal. You go to jail for that. Actually, if you did that.
Yeah, it was more violent.
It wasn't more violent. It was just some people doing bad things once in a while.
It was a
And they
violent
do.
act I saw in some of those
Yeah,
highlights.
I can assure you, you can go type in NBA fights, NBA violence. You can find tons of stupid things, but now they made rules where you can't come off the floor too much, so you're going to have less fights. But it's not a violent sport. Basketball is not a violent sport.
No, I don't. No, far from it. No, I don't think it ever. I mean, not saying it was like football, but there used to be more violent acts. Is what I was saying.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, no, yeah, that's probably true. Now they made rules, but the game itself wasn't like this violent game. Like Kevin McHale clotheslining someone is not a normal thing. That's why they had a fight.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate coming up here. You want to plug your channel before you get out of here?
In fact, thank you. In fact, I want you guys to feel free to plug your page on my show. Like I said, I got a pretty popular page. I don't want you to think it's a one-way street.
What's your page name so I can write it down here?
Yeah. It's, my sports page is called The Universe Galaxy. I'll write it in the chat room right here. Hang on. And I actually meant what I told you. You guys gave me plenty of time for the most part. You were nice, and you allowed different topics and all that. So please feel free to plug your page as many times as you want. Come on over, bring up pretty much any topic you like, and so on. In fact, that other guy you had on, if he's still there, which I guess he is, he was asking me about.
Jersey. I'm thinking with the other guy.
Okay, yeah. It sounds like we might have a new topic to disagree on. He was talking about society and all that. He can always bring that up on my show. I actually wish you guys didn't have to go. This is a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it's getting a little late where we are. I don't know where you live, but where we live, it's a little late. It's been a long day. We had 2 tornado warnings where we live today. So.
Oh wow! I hope you guys stay safe.
Yeah, we're good, but yeah.
No, but I mean, if you guys, I understand if you have to go. You're tired. I'm just joking around, man.
No, you're good. I appreciate coming up here, and I want more people to come up here and talk. And it was fun talking to you tonight, and I appreciate the debates. And what I like about debating you tonight was I thought it was very, a lot of debates nowadays we get with people, they get kind of heated and personal. I thought this was very cordial and great, and so I appreciate you for taking time to come up here.
Hey, what's your name, by the way, bud?
Oh yeah, I hope you don't mind, man, because my page is kind of popular. I don't want to give that out. I hope you understand.
No, you're good. You're good.
What should we call you?
Yeah, what should we call you?
If you want, you can call me romantic, charming, sexy guy. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm joking. No, a lot of people just go by the page name. They'll just say like, "Hey,
Universe Galaxy."
Some people do that. I'm not telling you what to say. I'm just saying.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. But again, guys, you guys were, I hope your page does well. This is the way a page should be. Allowing people to come on different topics, giving callers plenty, the people who come on, giving them plenty of time and all that. So thank you again. Good luck to your page. Stay safe and God bless.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, shout out to him. I mean, we didn't expect that tonight, but we'd have been out here a while ago. But
all right.
Sorry for holding you guys up late, but I've been here. Not sorry. I mean, it was pretty cool topic. John said the universe guy. We'll call him the universe guy. Very interesting. You got a quick reaction to that, Jersey? That was pretty interesting.
Very interesting. Certainly questions everything, which isn't a bad thing.
No.
But can tend to be a little stressful. I would, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he said, Joseph, you did fine job. Yeah, I appreciate it right now. It wasn't even planned either. I never heard of this guy till tonight, so that would kind of throw a wrench in the whole thing. But I mean, it's cool. I mean, here he's got his. I still say opinions. I mean, I know he does, but that's his philosophy of approach of things. I have mine, and I'm sure we actually had some commonalities. We actually had a lot more. I think we had a lot more in common than we did disagreements, though.
I agree. It's just cool to have people come on.
Yeah, it's just cordial.
I mean?
Yeah, and that's what we need more. I appreciate him coming up here tonight. I think this is a good example tonight of how people should actually communicate in society nowadays. I think in my opinion, we've gotten away from where you can disagree on things, but you can still talk and be friendly, and maybe become friends. You know what I mean? You don't have to. This person's this or this person's that because they think this. That's not. That's not a healthy way to live. Ronnie said he just needs to breathe a little bit. Yeah, that man, he can talk, man. I'm gonna go check out his page. I would be surprised if he had a popular page because he can go, which is great. I mean, shout out to him. hope his page continues to flourish. But I thought this is really cool tonight, interesting, and hopefully we showed you guys you can disagree and have a good conversation, not get personal or not be, what a lot of what you see nowadays, which is negative.
Right.
Which is why I need to like, subscribe, and share, Jersey.
Absolutely. Tonight was living proof of why every one of you should like, subscribe, share. This gentleman just asked to come on the show, changes the subject entirely. The host allows it, and we end up staying up with this guy for over an hour. Basically debating. So, I mean, this is how a show. He said it. This is how a show should be. So, here, I would think that's what everybody wants. They just want it to be fair. So, like, subscribe, share. I need to get more people on. You can come on, talk about whatever subject you want, as long as it's fitting to the format of the show and the host.
Yeah, and like he said, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. We'll see you guys next one. We're out of here.